Hello and welcome to Drumming Up Conversation. I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood.
So today is a fun episode,
It
another fun
is.
episode. We have John Rotolo on. He was so much fun to talk to,
Yes.
as much as it was when he had us on his. He's just hilarious. He has great conversation, and we just had a lot of fun talking to him.
Yeah.
It's just great that we don't know these people very well at all, except for like what research we do. We're just watching other things or listening to other things they've been on, and just how much conversation we can get out of it, which especially for someone like me that, has the anxiety and all that and just kind of isn't big on conversation so much. It's great to have
You?
this.
Not big on conversations?
I will when it comes up, but I'm just always one of those that I was always taught, be seen and not be heard and kind of thing. And I just need to get out of that and get out of my head. But, 156 episodes now, and I think I'm getting a little better about it. So
Yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun, and this is going to be a video, obviously. But we do encourage you to listen to our audio as well because still I haven't figured out how to get our ads and stuff into our videos yet. So definitely help out the ads that we have. There's Grenache popping up. She tried licking the microphone a couple minutes ago. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
She's finally settled down. I think she knows when we start actually talking and feel like we're doing something, she knows just relax. This is very comfortable, sweetie. Thank you. So if you're listening, make sure you watch like the first few minutes at least to see what we're talking
For
about.
sure.
But
And this is the first time we're using the headphones,
yeah,
and I feel like my skull is being
we'll
crushed.
get you some more comfortable ones. Those aren't the best ones. Those are a little older, but we'll get you some more
Well,
comfortable
hello,
ones too.
Grenache.
And I'll be disturbing you. So we'll go ahead and get into that episode. Enjoy, everybody. All right, so today we are joined by John Rotolo. He's a comedian and co-host of the Gracious 2 podcast. You've heard his voice before because we were on the Gracious 2 a little while back. So welcome aboard. Appreciate it.
Yo, excited to be on the show. What is up, Justin and Andrea?
Not much. Glad we could get you on.
Yeah. So, what's going on with the drones? Did they quiet down?
So I've only personally seen them once, and it hearing about them for like a couple days on the news, and like they're as big as like SUVs and all that jazz. I kind of thought it was like a bunch of BS and people, taking it to the next level, whatever. So I wasn't paying much attention to it. Then I'm up by a friend's house up in North Jersey, and she's telling me like she's seen the drones numerous times, blah 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 blah. Still kind of not paying it any mind. And then I'm in her front yard, and I see it coming by. She's like, "Oh, there's the drone," and I look up, and it's a fucking big drone. Look like it could, bigger than an SUV. Like it could look like it could pick up an SUV, like and still be able to fly. Like it was that big.
Really?
And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what Eddie Trunk says. He says they look like they could crush cars. Yeah.
yeah, it was strange, and it wasn't doing any like crazy maneuvering or anything like out of the ordinary like that. It was just crazy big and in the sky for just a seriously like a long amount of time. But yeah, and then I haven't seen one since, but it's a little freaky.
Yeah, I
No
bet.
kidding. I didn't
Yeah.
know they were that
Yeah.
big.
Oh, yeah.
But I did like that about a week after the government said, "Oh yeah, we forgot. We lifted the ban on drones."
Yeah. Well, and they're just playing it off like, kind of, we don't know what they are, but no big deal. And to me, if you don't know what the hell it is, it's like a big deal, you know?
That big, yeah.
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 Flying
Wow.
over military bases. And I mean, I saw an interview with Trump, like, I guess the weekend the sighting started to happen. And he was like, the military knows what these are. The government knows what they are. He's like, I don't know why they're not saying anything. He's like, but I don't think I'm going to my, golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey this weekend. So he was concerned a bit.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Everything's weird with, news nowadays. Though you don't know what the fuck to,
At,
Right.
at least for a couple more days. So
right,
they're getting
right.
it all out of their system now. So let's hope.
Be nice to get back to some. It is crazy though. Just like literally right after the election, I just felt a breath of fresh air like I hadn't felt in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not I mean, I know I seem like I'm crazy political because of the Gracious 2 podcast, but I'm really not. It's just,
Right.
it just happens to be like we're just in a crazy political time at the moment. So it's like a focus of our conversation. I would love to be completely out of the political world and not pay attention to world news and shit like that, but it's just gotten so crazy that you have to, or had to for a minute. But right after the election happened, I literally felt like I could breathe again. I could kind of pull back and not be so involved in world news. And, you know, I just felt a little bit safer and like a weight was taken off. Whether that was all psychosomatic or whatever, we shall see. But I don't know. I think we got
I
some
don't
good
think so, because I agree with the feeling safer for sure.
Or at least that everything we're going to hear isn't going to be bullshit. You know, that's the big thing. It's like this is it. It's cut and dry. There's no like, you know, oh, look over here. Here, don't look behind that curtain. Look over at this one. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
It's amazing what they got away with for so long, too.
yeah. So is that what the Gracious 2 was originally about, or was it just a bullshit?
So it's kind of ever evolving. I mean, it's really whatever we turn it into, you know,
Hmm.
week to week. I mean, we have grander visions for the show and stuff, but we're just taking it kind of day by day. I mean, the original tagline was putting the shit in bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like the bullshit around. And it just happened to be that, you know, and I think it was kind of shocking for a lot of Chad's fans, to be honest, like his take on the world and what his kind of views were and stuff. Because I think when the show first started out, we kind of had a built-in audience just from his fans of his
For sure.
music.
Yeah.
And real quickly, it seemed like they turned on us and were like, you shouldn't be taking this right stance and you're so negative on the left and blah, 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 blah. And so I think it was like a shocker for, you know, some of his fans and whatnot. But now, like, and there was like so much the engagement with the social media was kind of like infighting between the left and the right, you know, side of the audience and stuff like that. And now it seems like the which kind of sucks. It seems like we weeded out one side and now we're stuck with like people who kind of have like our same ideals like listening to us.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not really what I want. Like I want, you know, all walks of life listen to the audience, and I don't want anybody to think like I'm a crazy right person. I really am just middle of the road
Right.
spectrum
Yeah.
person who votes, you know, per person, not for political party.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. So I was just curious if that it was more of just what was going on at the time, and then you're, you know, once everything kind of settles down, you're gonna be able to shift gears too, which is good to maybe get some of those people that thought you were this and that to go, you know, maybe we should have just stuck with them because I think they were just kind of going with what was going on at the time, being, you know, more of the pop culture thing. So, you know, that's I'm sure that's good too.
Yeah. Our take is we're just gonna, you know, do be ourselves and authentic as we can, and hopefully, you know, people come along for the ride and all that. And really, the audience has been so cool. I mean, there's people that have been there from show one, and kind of when we take breaks and stuff, they're like, "You guys, where are you guys? What are you doing?" And it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it was getting crazy. I'm trying to keep up with like DMs and stuff from people from the audience, and you know, it gets to a point where you can't. It gets like overbearing. So I
Yeah.
was like, on one of the shows, I was like, if I don't respond to you, don't take it as like, because I love that speaking to everybody. It's just the time. I physically don't have, you know, that time.
Yeah.
So it's like if I don't respond and we're in the middle of a conversation, do not take it personal. It's just I'm, you know, I physically can't. So take this as me saying it here. I'm not ignoring you. You know, it just don't have the time or the physical thumbs to type it all out.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. So where did you grow up? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
The so North Jersey, right
Okay.
outside of New York City.
Okay.
And I if I told you some of this, and I'm going to because it's fun
Cool.
stories. If I told you some of the shit from my childhood, you'd be like, really at that age? Um, you know, just to put it in perspective, sixth grade, so you're 11 years old. Me and my friend took the 163 bus from our town of East Rutherford to New York City, and went into New York City and bought beepers from like a dude. Beepers. That's how old it was. From a dude on the street. Almost got mugged and got saved by some good Samaritan. And this is at 11 years old, seventh grade. And I look at like 11-year-old people now, seventh graders. I'm like, holy shit, I had no business doing that at that age. But yeah, we were just kind of advanced. It was, I guess, the area, and I
Yeah.
guess our time. We kind of grew up fast.
Did you guys send 8008 to each other a lot?
Yes, and the other ones too. There was a hello in there. Yeah, the boob.
Boob.
Some other ones too.
Yeah.
Ho, the eight.
Hell,
Hell, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I remember I come home with a beeper. I had to lie like where I got it because I couldn't say, yeah, ma, I went to the city and got a beeper. She'd have fucking killed me. I told her I like bought it from somebody in school, and it ended up having a 212 area code, which is a New York area code. So she ended up like finding out, and I got in trouble. I could never get away from with anything as a kid. I was any bit of trouble. My parents were young when they had me.
Okay.
So they were like 18, 19, around that age. So they were like kids themselves. So they knew any of the shit I was about to pull, like they had just pulled it, 15 years earlier.
For sure.
So I couldn't get away with much. They were, they were all over me. But yeah, it was a cool town, East Rutherford, small town. But that's what I was saying about that one instance of just taking the bus to the city. Like we were too young to be doing shit like that. But even younger than that, dude, fifth grade, hooking up with seventh grade chicks, making out, feeling boobs, like and now I'm 10 in fifth grade. And this is so embarrassing, this story. So after school, making out with the seventh grade girl, my mother's driving by. I'm on the front porch making out with this girl. And my mother drives by, sees me, stops the car. Johnny, what the hell are you doing? And like just screaming at me, embarrassing no end. I'm like, oh shit. So she's like, you better get in this car and get home now. I'm like, I got my bike. I gotta, ride home. She's like, throw it in the fucking trunk. Like my mother had a tongue by her mouth. There was no stopping her. So yeah, I had to throw my bike into the car, go home, and then this is what a crazy North Jersey Italian mother I had. She calls up the school and gets fifth through eighth grade had lunch together. She got this grade separated, so it was fifth and sixth could have lunch together, and seventh and eighth grade had lunch together. The fifth and seventh grade were no longer allowed to mix because I was hooking up with an older girl. And yeah, so that was my fifth grade year. Had to figure out how to hook up with her behind closed doors.
That's funny because I was an early bloomer on that too. But my mom was stay at home, so she didn't really have a car a lot of the time, so I could get away with it a little bit more. She couldn't come hunt me down so easily. But yeah, it was kind of the same thing. Very early bloomer, and if I could get up a couple more grades, I would like to because they're a little more developed. That's the game plan. So yeah, absolutely. So
To be young again, man.
yes,
The good old days. The good
yeah.
old days. It's funny how, I'm starting to become more present in life and enjoying the moments, because there's so many times where you're looking forward to the future or you're reminiscing about the past and you don't realize how good you're having it right, in the present. Because I always say, oh, the good old days, or I'm really looking forward to this, and not really just being like, oh, well, this is a great fucking time right here and now.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
starting to get more into that.
Yeah, no, I try to, but again, adulting sucks sometimes too. I miss the
It-
days where you could have just all the fun and not have to worry about everything else, but now you gotta have the good and the bad. So
Yeah, man.
uh,
Yo, the grass is always greener. You can't wait to
yeah,
do the you can't wait to do all that, and then you're like, I just wish mom would make me some dinner, and then
yeah,
you want to get from under the wing and then back under it as quick as you
exactly. Yeah, you're like I wish, yeah, I wish it make dinner. And then there's times you're like, you know what though, I could go out and get whatever the hell I want right now too, and that's kind of nice also. I didn't used to be able to do that, so
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
absolutely. When did you decide to become a comedian?
I would say I think I was born out of the womb one, because I was practicing like from a very young age. I just once I figured out like, oh, I can make somebody laugh, and through that, like I was making myself laugh, so it was like a win-win, like all around. And it was just like it feels good to laugh, you know. So once I realized that, I was like, that's all I wanted to do was like make people laugh. So in school, you know, I wanted to get my work done and like be the class clown and all that stuff. And so I guess through that, you know, I kind of really didn't know like what a stand-up comedian was as a kid. But I thought, you know, I knew what an actor was, so I thought maybe I wanted to be an actor, you know, like once I got out of high school and whatever. You know, so I told my parents that, and they were like, no, you got to go to college. Big mistake on their part because I could have been way further along in this little journey I'm on now. But uh, yeah, so I knew I just like performing and like kind of entertaining people. Not, you know, being the center of attention I loved, and I have no idea why because I got plenty of it at home, but I just wanted it all the time, I guess. School, home, you know, wherever. Because it was fun, you know, you're making people laugh, entertaining, they're having a good time, you're having a good time. So I ended up like losing sight of it because I was doing like, you know, drama in high school and plays and stuff like that. But then, you know, parents wanted me to go to college and real life started to settle in. So I started to go to college, get jobs and do all that stuff and kind of forgot about what, you know, I really, really wanted to do in life. And um in 2009, I'm taking a long route with this story and going all over the place, but
You're
it'll all
fine.
kind of weave in and
You're
hopefully
good.
make sense in the end. 2009, and I only know this because you have notes on your phone and they're dated. So in 2009, I had a idea to do the J Row show, a podcast, and wrote like a bunch of things, interview local people, and blah 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 blah. And again, life got busy, didn't get around to it, and when COVID hit, I was like, fuck, like the world was stopping and I had all this time. And so I was like, fuck it. I was like, go get equipment, build a podcast studio, and start using your creative brain again. Like I'd shut it off for so long. So I did that and started a show called Good Times Universe and started getting some really cool guests and stuff like that. And I don't know. I was listening to like podcasts like Joe Rogan and a couple other ones that he's connected to, and they were talking about, you know, like how they became stand-ups and kind of how they wrote jokes and, you know, don't just go up there willy-nilly, have something planned. And then, you know, if you get lost, going to crowd work. So I was just like kind of hearing how they became comedians. I was like, wait a second, that's like a little blueprint. Why don't I, you know, try it out? So I started to like try the right, but maybe sometimes something wouldn't come to me. But then I would be doing something and something would come to my brain and I would just go right to my notepad, put it in there. Maybe I could flesh some of it out then, maybe I couldn't, maybe I come back to it later. And I started to like get material together and you know have like a couple minutes and I was like, all right, let me go figure out how to do open mics now and like how to know where they are, when they are, and fucking all that stuff. And went to do that and had a great time. Like, there was times up there where I was bombing like crazy. There was times up there where I forgot what I was saying, like in the middle of it, and then, you know, just started to fucking say fuck it and let loose and like, you know, come alive that way and just have fun. Just started to have fun with it. So it's like now I've been on this journey for uh going on a little over 2 years. Yeah, I think in like March it will be 2 years since I've started doing a stand up. And I'm so fresh in it still and new in it and all that jazz, but I'm just having fun and I see the potential in it and see, you know, the hard work if you put it into it 100% will pay off, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just still not anywhere near as confident or ready to be like, all right, I'm going to dive 100% into this. I'm still learning and figuring shit out, but I'm having fun doing it, and I'm not stopping till I tell Chad all the time, not stopping till we're the #2 podcast in the world, and the only reason not #1 is because I love and appreciate Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not stopping to stand up comedy until I got like a headlining act going. So just cool shit, man. You know, 40, it's never too late to grow up and start living your dreams, man.
So how scary is it to get up on stage, and especially if the crowd isn't getting what you're talking about?
So it's okay. So it's scary when I have people there that know me, because, you know, friends of mine have been telling me to do this for years, and I've always been the funny one and blah 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 blah. So there's like a lot of expectations with people that I know, and in my own brain at least, there's a lot of expectations when it's like friends I know come to the show. So those performances could get like really where I'm in my head before the show starts a lot, and there's like anxiety leading up to the show, and then usually once I get on, it turns out okay. But the shows where it's like you know, I'm either hosting, opening, and nobody in the audience knows me from childhood or whatever, those I have no fear and can be as free as a bird and all that jazz. And those are the fun times. So I just got to learn how to get over the performance anxiety with people coming that I think have expectations. And that's just something in my own brain that I'm working on. And as I talk about it more and realize what's going on, I'm getting better at it and not letting it affect me as much. But it's really, you know, it's all in your heads. And I know that sounds like cliche and shit, but it's like you really can talk yourself either on the ledge or off the ledge. And, you know, you could breathe through anxiety and nerves and all that stuff. Because when I first started doing this, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, I wrote an act. I kind of thought it was good. And I just was going to these random open mics with nobody I knew there, and just kind of, boom, got into it and kind of had a rhythm like right off the bat, and was kind of doing well, like didn't bomb the first couple times I went up. And then the first show I had when people were coming, I'm like, oh shit. And then started like getting my own head a bit with it. And so it was like I hit the ground running, and then I was like, and then I got nervous. So it was like it almost fucked with me a little bit more than if I got nervous first, worked out of it, and then, you know, got better as I went on. But it was like I started off great, then I got a little bit nervous, and I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and then like had to build back up from there. I had a taste of the greatness, and then I saw like, oh shit, it could also be and feel like this.
Yeah. And yeah, because I get that being a musician, because I get nervous every time I go on stage, and it's like I'm behind a drum set, or I have my bandmates. Like I couldn't imagine going up there and I got a spotlight and a microphone, and that's it. So that scares the hell out of me. But
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I see both too, because as a musician, you're kind of like, you're like, oh shit, not since I'm not up here on my own, I could fuck up the rest of the music. So you
yeah,
got that aspect to kind of take on as well. Whereas when you're on your own, it's like I can only fuck this up for me,
yeah.
not the rest, you know?
Yeah, I guess that is a good way of looking at it. Yeah. Have you had hecklers or anything like that? And how do you handle them if you have?
Yes. So, and it's all a state of mind, dude, because if there's like, I don't, anytime, like I always, you got to have like a little bit of an ego up there, even though you don't want one in real life. So
Yeah.
there's like balance to walk. Like I don't want to be a dick up there and like really call out a heckler, but sometimes you have to. And, you know, I didn't realize that for like the first like 2 or 3 hecklers. Like I just tried to take it easy with them, and, you know, but they overpowered and ruined it. And then I realized, oh shit, I gotta alpha this person doing this and take control and you know, really put them in their place and let them know I have the microphone, you don't, dude.
Yeah.
Or a girl.
Yeah.
And then yeah, once I kind of learned that little trick, that was it. And you want to nip it in the bud quick, you know, if they're starting to call out, you could let something go or whatever. But if you want to kind of, oh, you know, like,
Yeah.
I forget whose time this is, mine or yours, you know?
Yeah. This is my 10 minutes, not yours, pal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem. I'm already paid for the gig. If you want to get up here, take my 20 minutes, Go ahead, dude. You know, like, and then they're like, oh, okay, no, I don't think I could do that.
So
But
we love like raunchy jokes. Have you ever had a raunchy joke that the audience thought went too far?
uh, yeah, yeah. So, and even just to talk, so to talk about out of context is it sounds shitty because this never happened, and it's a topic that could potentially fuck people up. I have a joke that my father molested me, and he never ever did. There's nothing anywhere near it like that, so that's why I think it's funny. Uh, and a lot of times the audience thinks it's funny. Who doesn't think it's funny is my father. So joke when I've said this joke and he's been in the crowd, like he fucking doesn't take it the right way. So like, I'll ask him at the show, like, oh, what do you think? And he'll be like, yeah, I love it, but why is that joke in there? And I'm like, why do you care, dude? You know it never happened, and like it's funny to me. Like that uncomfortableness is like it's fun. So it's like that kind of stuff is funny to me. That something like that could butt hurt somebody that that knows it's a complete joke. But I get it. He's
Yeah.
kind of important person. Like he works for the state and has a pretty decent job and stuff. So
He's the
I
mayor,
basically he works for the government and so but if somebody came up to ask me or real, I'd be like, no, it never happened. It's a fucking joke, blah blah
Is
blah.
that how you started? My dad works for the government. He molested me.
No, I get into, it only happened, two times, but the third time I was asking for it, stuff like that. You know, Dad, it's time to shower. Dad, I got soap. But yeah, and then I had jokes about when I got divorced. I moved into my parents' house while I was looking for a new place to live. Yeah, that was like 6 years ago. So the hunt's not going as well as I thought. And then I get into, it is, their house was just too cush. And then you had my mother there. She does all the stuff my wife did, but better and doesn't complain. Um, the only thing she hasn't tackled yet is the sexual department, but fingers crossed. Yeah, like I get into a whole thing of that, and my father didn't like that joke either. I'm like, you know, but it's funny, and then I play on that, like I
That's
let the
awesome.
yeah, you just get real honest on stage about like uncomfortable moments and funny
Yeah.
things, and embellish on stuff. Like there's sometimes I go up there, I'm telling people like, oh, when I was in medical school and blah blah blah, and it's all just complete nonsense. It's just a way to make this portion of the story funnier.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's
No.
awesome. Yeah.
And how often do you perform?
So not as often as I should. Like that's what I'm saying. I haven't dove in 100%. Like I think this is the year that I will. I usually take off. So again, this March will be about 2 years that I hit the stage, but I take off the winters because I do it mostly in New York. So I drive into like the first gig that I do, and then I take my foldable e-bike out of the trunk and then like e-bike to the rest of the places. And I can hit like 4 or 5 different places in a night and get some cool stage time that way. But in the winter, it's too cold to do. So I kind of take the winter months off. There's like 4 or 5 months where I barely go in. Like maybe I'll go in, drive in, hit up a club one night, or maybe I'll hit up a mic in Jersey. But for the most part, like I take off those months. But I think this year, once I start going back into the city again, come like March, April, I'm probably gonna go real ham. And then in the winter of this year, rather than take it off, I'm gonna go to Texas, where is now like the comedy mecca. It was like LA and New York were the places for a
Right.
very long
Yeah.
time, but now Rogan and his crew
Rogan,
moved
yeah.
out there,
Yeah, he
and
has
they
a
have,
club, right? Or
Yeah.
a,
Comedy
a
club.
comedy club?
yeah. So not only does he have one, but this guy Brian Redband does, and then there's a bunch in the area to begin with. So there's a real comedy scene down there, and to do it cheap, man, I'll go and stay in, like, I'm gonna convert like a Ford Transit Connect or something and park in a Walmart parking lot, and take a couple of months out there and go to the mothership and hit up all the clubs around there, and really make this like the comedy year and go full board into it, because it really is. It's a way that I could see where I won't need to do a 9 to 5 anymore. Like, it could be where my money is brought in and made enough of a living to support on, which is really what the goal is. But it's just nerve-wracking to do, and take that leap fully. But
Yeah.
it's got to happen at some point.
So you don't have your John Rotolo face bus yet, like you talked about on Throwcast?
It's coming, dude. It's coming. That is for sure. Yeah, it's gonna start with that Ford Transit Connect. So it'll be the smaller of the tour buses. That's the goal, dude.
Nice.
Well, if you book anything in Phoenix, you always have a place with us for sure.
I love it. I love it. Dude, that's what's so cool about this podcast. Like, it's amazing the amount of people that I've met and have real connections with, and they're real connections. I've said to them the same thing. If you're ever in the area, come to my house in Jersey, stay. Like, it's a beautiful thing, the internet, and it's also a shitty thing. It can be used for great things or really horrible things, but
we try to use it for good.
Well, last year we had a French death metal band that was playing a concert in Scottsdale, and we had the lead singer on the show. And later that night, he came out to us in the audience. He was like, "We lost our place for the night. Do you know where we can stay?" We're like, "Yeah, come back with us."
Rock on.
Yeah.
That's you guys seem real down to earth anyway to begin with. But so this was a gentleman from Scottsdale you had just met like that night, or
and they were all from France and had very broken English. And we're like, "Yeah, come on back. We'll cook for you in the morning. We'll send you off."
Yeah,
already.
The week of, I just reached out and asked if they want to come on. We're going to go to the show and we can do it on site and everything. And they decided to do it, and it was just all worked out. We had them over, and then we know Jordan Kanata. He's a drummer over in the New York area over there. Joey Casada. We've been blessed with meeting people. We got to meet Jordan. He had us they came to Tucson and it was Slaughter, and he plays for them. And,
wait, so you guys are in Tucson?
What's that?
You guys are in Tucson?
No, we're about 2 hours north of it.
We're in between Phoenix and Tucson.
Yeah, like right in the center of
Okay. There's a gentleman, Tommy Parker, who is dating Tammy Erin, who is Pippi Longstocking from the New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking. You guys know that movie from like 1989?
Yeah.
Well, I had her on my podcast, and then through her, he came on, and we kind of all hit it off and stuff. But he's doing. Do you guys remember Celebrity Boxing? It was, So he took over that from the gentleman, and he's partnered with other people. Tommy Parker did, and he's changed it to Celebrity Sports. So now, in addition to the boxing, they got Celebrity Flag Football, Celebrity Paintball, Celebrity Dodgeball. And
Celebrity Dodgeball on the Ocho.
yes. That's what I was saying. I'm like, yo, and I made that joke too. I'm like, yo, see if you can get it on ESPN Ocho. He's like, he had like no clue, I don't think. But they're putting on their first event. It's Celebrity Flag Football, June 1st, and it's somewhere close to Tucson. So you guys should go check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let us know after. Send us the details on it and everything. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be cool. And there's cool. Jeremy Jackson from Baywatch is on one of the teams. A bunch of people. Yeah. And they're shooting, so I got promos and stuff going out for it. And I'm like, dude, let me, because they already had commentators, like, to do the play-by-play. Because I want to, but he already had people. I'm like, well, let me do something. He's like, if you want to be the voiceover for the trailer, I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go.
Cool.
Heck yeah.
I'm like, on the field, Jeremy Jackson, and
sounds like something that would go on at Tempe Town Lake.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Wait, what you would go? What was that? Tempe Town Lake?
Tempe Town Lake.
It's near ASU.
Yeah.
So, they do a lot of stuff like that over there too. So being college town and everything. So
how far are you guys from ASU?
40 minutes. 40 minutes to an hour. So
depending on traffic.
Yeah, traffic. So
you guys ever crash any parties over there? Like going
not anymore. When I was in my my teens and
when
20s,
he,
yeah,
when
for
he
sure.
was in his whoring era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every guy has to go through that at one point, so it's better to do it, younger in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
We've been watching a lot of How I Met Your Mother because I'd never seen it. She's like, I think you'd like it. And she every time is it
Barney.
Barney? She looks over at me. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was my 20s. Yeah.
Stinson, Barney Stinson, dude, what I can't get over how great he plays a womanizer, and
Yes.
in real life he's gay, like
Yeah.
really gay supposedly.
Right. Yeah.
But he plays it so well, like you would have no clue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
No,
almost
it's
like he can't be gay. There's no way he plays a womanizer that well. Like he's got to. There's no way. But yeah,
Best actor ever.
yeah.
Doogie
He's been
Howser,
great.
man. You guys remember that show,
Which one?
Doogie Howser, where
Oh yeah.
he's originally from?
Yep.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
think
South actor.
I was a little too young
Yeah,
for
we
that.
have a little bit of an age difference. I'm 11 years older than him, so I remember Doogie Howser. He does not.
Rocking the cradle. Way to go, Andrea. All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I'll remind her sometimes. I was like, yeah, when I was 7, you were 18. So
Wrong.
Isn't it amazing though what just like a couple years will do? Like as a kid, that age gap is crazy, but
Right.
you hit a certain age, it's like there's no difference at all.
Right. Yeah.
I always felt like even though I had a good childhood and it was very child, I always felt like an adult, and I always could handle more than I should. I think I was always like I always felt older than I was, even though I was doing kid stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
be hanging with them, and I could be driving a car, and
yeah, I always jammed with older musicians. That was something my dad told me early on. Is like jam with older musicians because you're gonna get better quicker that way. So we're like, okay. So
you weren't
yeah,
intimidated.
not at all.
Wow.
I just faked it till I made it. So yeah, it's just figured it out early. I've been playing since I was 6 too. So I had that confidence with me being at a
Yeah.
young age playing. So and I was always told like, oh, you're much better than you think, man. You're really really good. I'm like, all right. So
That could be a blessing or a disguise. Like that could like give you some inspiration to keep going, or you could be like, oh, well, then I guess I don't need to practice that much if
yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh no, I always wanted to get better. I'm always a student. That's the way I always look at it. So yeah, absolutely.
And then on the flip side, I had to become an adult really quick because my parents died when I was in high school.
Mm.
So then once we got together, I got to have more of a teenage experience, so to speak, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where
So
we went to the concerts, we went out and did fun things that I didn't really get a chance to do in high school.
well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to live vicarious. You actually do it.
Right.
Yeah. You always got to get that. I think that was Michael Jackson's thing. Like, I honestly, I don't. This is what's so fucked up. Like, if that dude was creepy enough to sing like "Heal the World, Make It a Better Place for You and for Me and the entire human race," and we are the world, we are the children. If he could write beautiful lyrics like that and really make you think that that's his perspective on the life, and then also be able to fucking molest kids, like that doesn't sit in my brain. Like I don't understand how those two things could happen simultaneously.
Yeah.
So I tend to think he wasn't a child molester and got a bad rap. But I could be mistaken.
Well, I used to live on the central coast of California,
Mhm.
in the San Luis Obispo area. So San Ynez, where his house, what was it called?
No,
Never-
Grace. No, not Graceland. Neverland. Not
Neverland.
Graceland. Jesus.
It was literally
Something
across the street from a school. And I knew a lot of kids that went to San Ynez schools that said, yeah, I mean, a limo would come out of the gate at the end of the school day, pick up some kids. And one girl that I knew in particular, she said that her mom always told her, do not get in that limo.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Like, I was wondering if the reason why, because he was hanging out with kids and, had an amusement park in his house. Like, so I thought that his childhood was taken away from him as a kid because his father had him performing at like 4 and stuff. that he was now like living vicariously through these kids and like trying to have a childhood in his adulthood, you know, later in life. And so that's kind of where my brain always went with that, and that he got a bad rap and, was falsely accused because, he went through 2 trials and I believe both times was found innocent.
Yeah.
And just a lot of hearsay. And, it's just like with the Me Too movement where, someone makes an accusation that's completely false and it ruins that person's life forever. It's just like, I can't get over that. Like, that's a fucking real evil thing. Like, so.
But was it the Duke lacrosse team thing just came to fruition that she was lying about all of it? And it's like, that was what, like 20 people's lives you fucked up and destroyed in one fell swoop?
Right,
That will
man.
never recover. And now it's 20 years later. How now they're vindicated and they're what, in their 40s now? Like what? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done and
Yeah.
it's been done, Um, Corey Feldman, you guys know that
Poor
actor.
kid, he is so fucked up.
Well, his mom didn't help either, but yeah.
Circumstances, and no one believes anything
Yeah.
he says.
I think it's what got Corey Haim to do what he did at an early age too, and we lost him because of it as well. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, they both saw some shit, but a friend of mine that I went to high school with, in the entertainment industry, he was like a childhood star, and like now he's like on the other side of it. He's like producing records and stuff for Sony, and he's Corey Feldman's manager. So, not that I've seen Corey or hung out with him like, in these past couple of years, but just I kind of get to know some things through his manager and stuff like that. But Corey Feldman said publicly that Charlie Sheen raped Charlie Haim. And I never heard anything about Charlie Sheen even being gay, let alone being a child molester. Right. So like that was the one thing where I was like, is Feldman a fucking liar and just making shit up? Because a lot of the other stuff he said seemed to be real. Like he said that Michael Jackson never molested him,
right,
but other people in the industry did. So it seems like a lot of the stuff he says is true. But that was one thing where I was like, what? That can't be, man. And I don't know. That's the one thing that throws me for a loop. But it's the case. That's
he was just out here recently doing a show with, I don't remember who it was with, but yeah, he's touring. Good for him. I'm not a fan of it.
No.
But I'm not a fan of his music or what he does, but good for him for getting out and doing something, if it's making a difference. I'm all supportive of that. But yeah, as far as I know, I think he did an audiobook. I think I listened to it, and he talked about like Spielberg and oh God, who's the guy that did Stand By Me? The director. He said those are the only two that were actually decent or that treated him the way he was supposed to be treated. Meathead, what the hell is his name?
Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
Said Spielberg and Reiner were the two good ones to him. And what's crazy with that is I think those were like two of his best performances were with those two directors. So,
and Goonies.
Stand By Me he should have won an Oscar for his role in Stand By Me with that. The guy with the dog talking about his dad and how that was just like, wow, that's heavy.
Powerful.
As a kid to do that, that's heavy.
100%, man.
Yeah. So
and then he had that remember Dream a Little Dream with Corey Haim?
I love that one, yeah.
And then Gremlins was good, Lost Boys,
Was he in Gremlins?
Uh-huh. He was in Gremlins. Yeah. He was
He was the little kid.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's in Gremlins, but yeah. So
wow.
I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah, he's
I think he was in Friday the 13th, maybe.
One of them,
yeah, the third or fourth one, right? Yeah.
He was the
voice.
The Burbs. Yeah, that's a good one. I called the Pizza Dude. Yeah.
Yep. He was the voice of a Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtle. Yeah, and the first or second one, something like that. Yeah.
But even like think about his career. Like it's crazy that somebody like him is like, kind of putting on these shows. Like so, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit is putting him on this tour. It's like the Loserville tour or something.
Oh yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, that's right. That's who it was.
And so this is Corey Feldman, who's been in all these movies, and yeah, I'm not into his music or anything. Like it kind of seems like a Michael Jackson wannabe mixed with a little harder like guitar.
Yeah.
It's like weird, and he's
Right.
dancing, he's doing like that voice, but it's just strange to me that like somebody like I'm trying to think of some social media influencer, but whoever has more followers on Instagram than Corey Feldman. Like I'm like, how is that this person who does nothing except post like pictures of her or him on the beach or fucking doing whatever has more followers than Corey Feldman, who's been in hundreds of movies,
Yeah.
iconic movies. It's just crazy how like the world works and how somebody who has a body of work like that could kind of have no recognition, and then
Yeah.
somebody who has a body of work of nothing is popular
Right.
for some reason. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. That I, from the way I was raised, is if you work hard, you get to reap the benefits of it. And nowadays, it seems like someone can just do something stupid in their bedroom for 30 seconds, and yeah, they just catch fire. And yeah, I just, yeah, I don't get it. So
Prime example is the Hawk Tuah girl. Like, what? How the fuck does that? She's talking about spitting on a dick on a news show or something, Hawk Tuah, and just says you got to Hawk Tuah that thing or whatever, and becomes the biggest internet sensation, and is kind of still in that 15 minutes of limelight. Like she just like got in trouble for selling a meme coin, like some crypto coin, and doing what seems like an exit scam, where every she had like 1,000 or 3,000 of them. People bought in, the price rose, and then she sold all hers. The price dropped.
oh, like a stock market kind of bullshit kind of thing. Wow,
Yep.
jeez, she's okay.
But it's just crazy. I'm like, how the fuck does somebody like that get popular and then continue to ride the wave? Like, I just don't get it. If you got
Yeah,
talent and stuff like that, like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
But
if you can contribute something to society that makes everyone better, by all means. But yeah, if it's something stupid and goofy and everybody's like, "Oh, I got to follow what this person's doing now because they said that," what else are they gonna say? Like, yeah, this is just Jerry Springer on steroids now. So that's all
yeah,
it is.
Sure.
I want the cheat code, I guess. I want to stop doing all this hard work and just give me the cheat code so I
Yeah,
could do
Yeah.
it to a moment.
yeah.
And
I want to quit my 40-hour a week job and be able to podcast all day, every day, and work on my music and everything too. I want that to be my full-time job. So
right.
yeah.
It's like, so if you had the audience and you were monetized, like, so would you now here's where I've seen it. So when you have something like this, or even your own business that
Mhm.
that you run and become successful, you don't realize like you're like, oh, it'll be great because I'm reaping all the benefits, but you don't realize like you're not working 40 hours a week anymore. You're working fucking 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week.
Right.
But you're loving the work, so it all
Yep.
pays off at the end. But so
Yeah.
it's like you doing something like this full time, you might be working harder than you are at your normal job now, but at least you enjoy doing it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's where the key to, I think, life comes in. I try to like, I have a younger brother, and then he has some younger friends, and that's like my best piece of advice. And I don't even know if it is the best piece of advice, but I tell them like, do not like go and do anything for money. Like that's not gonna that might make your life easier, but it's not gonna fulfill you to like no end of happiness. Like that is something where you got to do what makes you happy in life, even if you're broke doing it, because that's where the true happiness lies. Like you could be, I could be making fucking $500,000 a year doing IT and not be happy, or I could be making 30,000 a year doing a podcast every day and be happier than a pig in shit.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you have to do what, not just for money. That seems like a cool thing because you'll have the houses and the cars and all that jazz, but that's not the things that fill you up inside in the long run.
Yeah. No, I tell people, I tell my coworkers all the time on like Friday, like, what you got planned this week? And I said, probably be busier these 2 days than I have been this whole week. Because if I'm not doing podcast stuff, I'm doing band
Band
stuff.
stuff.
And it's like, it's just nonstop. And I'm always, even when I'm it might look like I'm sitting on the couch, but I'm reaching out to people like, hey, we like what you're doing. Would you want to be a guest on the podcast or do this or do that or posting and just trying to learn as much social media as I can because I'm still terrible at it. But just doing everything I can about whatever because this is like my job's to let me do or our jobs are to let us do this, like to be able to get the money to get microphones and get a mixer and get the equipment we need to do this. And we wanted to also, we appreciated you being on Thrillcast. We watched both episodes with you. We liked the one, especially with, this is with Bill Hines, who we're a big fan of now. So we appreciate that. We found out about him through you, just doing some research. But we
Right.
liked the episode where you guys talked about like
All the tech
all the
stuff.
tech stuff and like, hey, get a microphone that's a USB. Make sure you like doing this before you really invest in stuff. And that's exactly what we did without even knowing that. We had a little stupid, microphone we plugged in the computer, and then about 100 episodes in, I'm like, we need to let everything look nicer. We need to get microphones and a mixing board and sound
Yeah,
better
at
and
first we just pulled spare stuff out of our recording studio for his band.
yeah. So
Yeah, well, yeah, that's always an avenue, right? The leftover music stuff that you're not
Yep.
using music, sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because if you look, I mean, there's like how many podcasts like on Apple Podcasts, and you see like they got like first maybe 1 to 10 episodes, and there's so many shows that are like that. So it's like
Mhm.
somebody potentially went out, bought all this stuff, and then realized, oh, this isn't for me. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, this is the fun part of it. Like, if this was all that went into it, sign me up all day. But it's all the behind the scenes work that goes into it. The, communicating with the guests coming on, locking down dates, going over different setups for equipment, doing editing of videos, posting stuff to social media, research so you're
Yeah. Yeah.
cognizant of what's going on in the world. Like
Yeah.
just so much goes into it that it's certainly a full-time job in itself, maybe plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my lunch is I have my notepad and I just start like researching and doing this and even luckily I'm blessed with the work that I have that I can keep my notepad next to me too so if I get an idea real quick, oh, I'll ask that or I'll put that on there and stuff like that or whatever and just yeah. And I mean you guys are live. That's even crazier than what we do because my thing is I try to get 3 weeks to a month ahead just in case we have to reschedule or someone cancels or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like, okay, cool. We have one in the can already. We don't have to worry about right now because we had that planned and we didn't really have a backup. And I've learned also have a plan B. If someone does cancel reschedule, have like a topic her and I can do an hour episode on just to bullshit and get that interaction going and stuff like that too. So
Yeah, you guys do because you guys have like a planned thing for your shows and kind of ideas where you're going.
mm,
Whereas like not that Chad and I are kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Like we game plan kind of before the show, but it's really like everything comes alive on the show. Like we don't go into too much, like because we want it to be all spontaneous
Yeah.
yeah.
of things we bring up. And if it's something that like I know about and he doesn't know about, I'll kind of explain it to him, then he'll learn about whatever I'm talking about, and then hopefully the audience does too, and then vice versa. So whereas I'm trying to see how like so in other words, like say we were doing a show and Chad didn't what for some reason couldn't be there, I wouldn't have a backup game plan to do like something. I would just be like, uh-oh, all right, well, guess we're going into it. Like so the
Yeah.
fact that you guys have a backup plan if a guest doesn't come or if something doesn't go through, that's a real lot of preparation that you guys are putting into the show. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that.
Okay.
Like if I had a
Interesting.
format, yeah, like if I had
That's
a format that I needed to follow and things like I must get like it'd be a lot of pressure.
Okay. I mean, yeah, there's sometimes it's just stuff never gets asked too, and I'm fine with that because the whole thing is we want to have a conversation. Like there's times where I'm like, oh shit, there's like 6 on here I never asked, but like also if we have them back on, we'll just put those on the next one, and that's the great thing too. But yeah, we're even like that with ours, to where if we do a topic of like top 10 of this or this or that, whatever, we don't tell each other what our list is, which is cool too because it keeps that spontaneity for it as well. It doesn't. I don't. I've listened to some podcasts where it's like this is all rehearsed and this is like a reality show kind of thing. I'm like, and I'll listen to one or two episodes. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. It's just not fun.
Yep.
Whereas with us, it's like, oh shit, I didn't even like, I didn't even think of that, or I didn't even know that existed. And it's like, we'll just get in. It's just the great part about it. And same thing with having guests on. It's like, oh, I didn't even know that you were into that kind of stuff. Cool. Let's 180 to that now, or
Yeah.
'cause I'm into that too, and I know a lot about it. So, you know,
And I think it helps you gauge kind of how the audience is feeling it better too. Because if you guys are just going through like your scripted thing,
mhm.
that you have all set up first, you're kind of just into that script and you're kind of not feeling what you're actually doing in that moment.
Yeah,
I think that, if you're doing something like that, then you kind of don't know how the audience is feeling. Because if Chad and I are talking about something and I'm getting like a little bored with it or something, like I'll be like, boom, switch gears because I'm like,
yeah,
the audience must be getting a little bored. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
but if you're just going off that script, doing what you had pre-planned, you might not be in tune with kind of that and stuff. So I just think it makes it a little bit cooler and a little bit less stressful and all that jazz. And my ADHD keeps probably topics going more rapidly than they should. But I think that makes for pretty good programming at times.
yeah. Well, I mean, for me personally, for one, I like to learn about anything I can, especially people. I'm just very curious person, and also
Curious or nosy?
both. But I'm also into a lot of things. Like I know she always teases me that I'm like a foxhole guy on trivia night in the bar. Like I'll
Yeah.
just randomly know an answer to something. She would have no fucking clue I should know an answer like that too. And she's like, "Where did you even learn that?" I don't know. I just know that that's the answer. And sure enough, it is. It's
That's
yeah,
I love I don't have a brain like that. Like
Me neither.
I know the basic stuff. I think I could learn stuff quick, but I don't maybe retain it as well if I'm not constantly doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was kind of my problem even with school. Like all my teachers would say he's too smart for his own good and blah 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 blah. And just hearing that your whole life, like I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
yeah,
like, but I think maybe that is the case. Like I'll learn something, be bored with it, and on to the next,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I was saying that, but that's the beauty of and that's another beautiful thing. If I ever get into a train of thought and it just mind goes completely blank, I get completely honest with the audience. I'm like, I have no idea where I was going with that, and I don't know. We'll talk about something else, I guess.
I
And
always
those,
blame it on the wine.
You're not
yeah,
drinking any wine though.
Vodka.
those are the
Yeah.
fun shows, the drinking shows.
Yeah.
We try to have a little bit of wine, or I'm having whiskey tonight because I like to change it up, and we're going
Yeah,
out to a whiskey place tomorrow night. So I'm like, I need to get back into the whiskey a little bit, get a little, get a little head start on it, so I'm prepared because you gotta kind of wean yourself into it. But yeah, that's what I'm doing tonight. But I mean,
I
yeah, that's the great thing about it is I think a lot of people because I was really comfortable. Me personally, I was really comfortable on your show. And again, thank you for it. I'm a high strung person. I get anxiety really bad, and it's like 5 minutes in, I'm like, holy shit, this is fun. Like we're live, and I forgot we were live. Like all of a sudden, the performer in me just kind of kicked in. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm in the pocket now. I'm setting the groove.
yeah.
Everyone's listening to me and what I'm doing, and I just like, cool. This is what it's like. This is like I'm on stage right now, and I just got comfortable. So, and that's a
Yeah.
lot to you guys also. You guys kind of made it very easy going and
Easy, very
comfortable,
easy. Yeah.
and I know she's very similar too, and she's kind of nervous. She's like, I've never done anything live like this before. I don't know what I'm doing, and it's like yeah, you're going to be nervous right away, but then once you just forget you're on a microphone like we do at home, you'll be fine. So,
You start to flow.
yeah,
Well, yeah, because so a lot of times I'm dealing with the guest beforehand, whether Chad's booking them and he knows to begin with. I'm usually doing the finalizing touches and firming up the dates and stuff. So a lot of times, I'll let them know it's a live show and they're like, oh my God, live. Like they didn't realize at first. And they're like, I'm so nervous. And your first thing is like, don't be. I promise you it's going to be an easy conversation and it'll flow. And, you know, you say those words and people hear them, but they're not believing it. They're like, I don't know. But then
yeah,
you get on and it is. You just forget that there's cameras and that there's people listening and you just get lost in the conversation. And I think like you guys don't wear headphones, but I think
Not
if
yet.
I didn't, I couldn't be as focused in on the conversation. I think this brings me in and allows me to just be 100% present in the conversation and forget that the world is out there and I'm just kind of like in my head here, you know?
Yeah. That's what we're getting next is the headphones. So that's next on the list. We're just slowly building up to it because all
Yep,
the stuff in the band, like my headphones are my headphones for my drums, like they're specific to that. But
sure.
that's the next thing we're doing for sure. We were actually talking about that before you even came on. I was like, we're doing headphones next. We got the microphones, the mixing board, we got everything we need now. Now it's headphones because
And you don't got to go crazy, dude. Like you don't
yeah,
need ones that are active noise canceling and stuff
yeah,
like that. Like just any ones that kind of just go over the ear and whatever.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the those are that's the cheapest part, I think. You can get a
Yeah.
good $20 pair of headphones easy. So yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's funny like and then, you just computers and stuff. Like I always wonder if they stopped like giving you updates for older computers, would they still like would they run as good? Like I'm convinced I don't need this latest M4 MacBook Pro that I'm using. Like I could be on the M1 still,
Yeah.
but that little thing and oh, I gotta upgrade. It's but I wonder if they actually gave you the updates for the older ones, if they would still run just as good. And they probably would.
Probably. Yeah. If it can handle it, maybe. Maybe it's something the processor couldn't handle it too. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
See,
I'm not that tech savvy, so
yeah.
I've been winging this since episode one. So
And you have a big heart too. You're like, no, they wouldn't do that to us. They wouldn't stop updating even though the hardware works well. I always like to think I say it to Chad and on the podcast all the time. I was raised like good always wins, evil always loses, and it's been stuck in my brain since birth.
yeah.
And I still heavily believe it, but every now and again it creeps in. I'm like, does it? Does good always win?
Yeah.
I hope
Just like
so.
the golden rule. Does that still apply too? Treat people how you want to be treated? Because man, I get treated pretty bad sometimes, and I don't think they realize how bad I could treat them just the same, but I don't. So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
100%. I was raised on the golden rule, dude.
yep,
My
yep, same.
my my principal, Mr. Rabatini, I'll shout out to him. He was like, "Do unto others as you want done to you," and that was instilled.
Yeah,
And what other way to treat people? Like,
yeah,
why would you treat somebody differently than you want to be treated? So
yeah,
if you're yelling at somebody, do you like to be yelled at like that? No. Then why are
yeah.
you doing it? You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's such easy way of thinking, but it seems hard for a lot of people. And I've been lost in that and younger thinking and could be an asshole at times too, but you learn from mistakes and grow from them. And if everybody just followed that basic rule, treat this other person as you want them to treat you, the world would be fucking
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, just
Because
treat everyone nice. Just be nice. Don't be a dick. If
right,
you do something bad, own it. That's the problem too, is no one has accountability anymore. Like if I get in someone's way, I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I wasn't even looking. That's on me. I'll quickly do that. That's the way I was raised. But then I'll get someone that pretty much runs right into me and they're like, and they'll just brush it off. I'm like, you're not gonna say excuse me or apologize, nothing, you're just gonna keep going. Like,
yep,
yeah, I'm only saying that because I run into it daily, like at the grocery store or what.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was at the grocery store and the cashier didn't even say hi. Did you find everything okay or nothing? I'm like, and then the next day, I'll have someone that's like talking chatty Cathy. I'm like, awesome, I'll chat back with you. But I
right,
was completely quiet to the one that didn't say anything to him. Like, I'm
for sure.
paying you. Be nice, and I'll be nice back. But you're not going to say anything. Then neither am I. I'll
Yep.
run my card and I'm out of here. So
And that's the way it could and that's the way it works, and it could be as simple as that where this person's not saying hi to you, so you're not going to say hi to them, and it just as something as simple as that. But then
yeah,
it could get even crazier. Well, this person gave me a dirty look, so now I'm going to stare at them and give them a dirty look, and then it can get nuts. This person bumped into me, maybe by accident, maybe not, but I'm going to bump into this person maybe by accident. You know what I'm saying? And it could
yeah,
snowball.
yeah, yeah,
And so I guess what I was getting at is like I was getting resentful for a little bit. Like I would hold the door for somebody, they wouldn't say thank you, and I'd be like,
Oh,
Oh,
in my head,
I'll say you're welcome. She's seen it. I'm like, you're welcome. Like I didn't say thank you. I'm like, and I know, dick.
exactly.
And
yep,
I've said shit like that too. I'm like, I am not shy with that. Like, because there's no law that says I need to hold this door open for you. I very easily could have closed it in your stupid face. But
agree. And then, but I guess what I was getting to is like, so I was like getting angry that they're not thanking me. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just not hold the door for people anymore.
yeah,
I got into that thing and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not getting down to people's level. And even though I hate that they're not thanking me, I'm going to be a better person, hold the door. And if they don't, yeah, I'm going to give them that sarcastic, you're welcome, like just to let them know, like, I get you're a dick, but I know you are. And I'm going to say it to you
yeah,
politely.
yeah. I'll be a polite one back to you.
Yes, that's the best. When you could politely let somebody know what a dick they are and
Yep.
they're kind of not catching on to what you're doing because your tone is like
Yeah.
nice.
And they're
That's my
powerless. They're powerless against it because it's like, well, you said you're welcome, so what are they gonna say back?
exactly
Yeah,
the Jedi mind trick.
Yep.
exactly. Yep, absolutely.
Uh,
So back to comedy though, real quick. I was curious who your influences are. Because
uh,
I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I'm more of a observational comedy fan personally, but
like who?
oh, I mean, like Dane Cook's one of them.
Yes.
He's more he's kind of a lot of people either hate him or love him. I think he's great.
I do
Jeff
too.
Foxworthy is probably my all-time hero because he's just
Redneck? Is
he
he like the guy who says you might be a redneck? Yeah.
yeah, just he's just so funny. It was just like with everything he does, just the observational humor. He'll just talk about going to the flea market and the things he sees. I'm like, yes, I've seen that. Like I understand that. Just stuff like that I can really understand. So
One that stuck with me from Jeff Foxworthy. He's like, if you go to a square dance and the DJ yells "Ho down" and
and
your
you,
wife hits the floor, you might be a redneck. I was like, oh, that's fucking good. Ho down. Because they always say that
yeah,
at the thing.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so you mentioned Dane Cook, dude, and I know that it could be unpopular, but he is probably one of my favorite comedians. When he's on point, there's nobody funnier.
yeah,
He could tell a story like nobody's business. Uh, and I learned a lot from him where you over exaggerate certain words, like mouth. He'll say like he'll draw out certain syllables and you put emphasis on things and you animate certain things and you draw out the story and pantomimes them. So I took a lot from him in some of my delivery and storytelling and stuff like that. Um, he doesn't do a lot of crowd work. Like he's very like a prepared comic. He likes to stick to the script, which you couldn't tell by watching him. But if you go to like multiple shows, you'll see like he really. Now I'm nitpicking, but that's the one thing that I don't like from him.
mhm,
Matt Rife, on the other hand, is like almost all crowd work and spontaneous work, and his written stuff isn't that strong. So it's like if you took those two comedians and mixed them together, I feel like that would be the best comedian in the world, and that's kind of who I want to work to be. But I'll go back to the greats, dude. Eddie Murphy, I love, man. Those Delirious and Raw, some of the two of the funniest hours on the planet. Fucking Ralph Cramden and Norton doing gay shit. Like, what, dude? That's hysterical. It made me come up with a Mr. Miyagi Daniel Son gay scene.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Who else? George Carlin, love.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I think
uh,
he was so ahead of his time that he's more popular now than he was then.
yeah, way ahead of his time
Yeah.
and so prolific, dude. Like that guy would sometimes do 2 specials a year.
Hmm.
Nobody does that. And
Yeah.
as a comedian, once you put out a special, that material's dead. You don't do callbacks to it. That's where I say the difference between like musicians and comedians is like musicians, you spend your whole life trying to come up with like that one song or that one album that really resonates, really hits, and then you could keep playing that, forever. Your fans want to keep hearing that and they come to shows. I want to
Yeah.
hear that album, I want to hear that song. As a comedian, though, once it's said and done, even if it's amazing and funny as fuck, That's it. That
Yeah.
material's done. You're not doing it again.
Especially when
So,
it's recorded. So, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, like as of now, like I don't even post any clips. Any clips that I have posted has all been either throwaway jokes that I don't include in my act, or crowd work that's just happening, in the moment, and it's not going to be recreated because it's a real moment. Um, but that's the most fun stuff. If I could ever get up there with nothing prepared and just go and just have fun with the crowd, I would totally do that. But I just don't have the balls to do it. But those are the times where I have the most fun, and it seems like the crowd has the most fun, where it's off script and I'm just vibing with the crowd and kind of going with them. But you just can't fall into that vibe all the time, or I just haven't figured out how to get there all the time. But hopefully one day that's the goal to work towards,
Yeah.
Nice.
because it's just fun, man. It's about anything. You just change the subject, talk about whatever, and you get into it with them, and you can feel it. It's hard to describe, but like when you're on, like you're in the zone. Like you said when we were on the podcast and you just sat down, within a couple minutes you were in the zone, in the pocket. Like that's what it is. Even being up on stage doing comedy, it's like when you're in that zone, like there's no throwing you off. It's like I could blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now when you're not, sometimes you can get there. Sometimes you're so far gone, it's like you're like up there, like I'm so sorry, guys. I got nothing for you. You know.
Yeah.
So Don Jameson and Jim Florentine are really big in your area.
And
Have
we're
you
big
ever
fans of them too. Music.
done anything with them?
Jim Florentine. Yes. So randomly, I did. Somebody else was putting on a show, but it was at a hotel it was my first paid gig actually in New Jersey. And it was last year. I always said I'm not going to do a paid gig until like I could come back and like headline a show, but I threw that out after a little bit. Anywho, so randomly a guy reached out to me on the internet and asked me to do a show kind of last minute. Ended up doing it, and Jim Florentine was on the bill, and it was my first time meeting him, and he was hysterical. He was doing impressions, observational stories, and I think he did a John Travolta thing, but like it was like John Travolta from Welcome Back, Kotter. Like just he had like a real funny scenario with it. It wasn't just like a normal impression. So yeah, Jim Florentine met and had a really good fun show with, and learned a lot. Is he Australian or something?
No, he's from New Jersey.
Yeah, they're both from Jersey.
Yeah, him and James, because we watched them on that metal show and just big fans. And they do the terrorizing telemarketers stuff, which is, if you've never heard that, check it out. It's hilarious.
Are they calling telemarketers?
No, they wait around for the telemarketer to call, and then they have bits that they do. It's hilarious. They have like 6 or 7 of them on Spotify and all that. They're great.
I definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So yeah, they're two of our favorites, and I didn't bring them up because I knew she was going to ask about them anyway. But yeah, they're two of our favorites as well. Very observational and all that too. So
You guys remember the Jerky Boys?
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah.
yeah,
They were fucking good, man.
yeah.
I like their movie too.
I didn't see the movie,
The movie's pretty funny.
but those prank calls were legendary. Saul Rosenberg.
Yep.
Yeah, can you even prank people anymore? Another one who big comedic inspiration, and kind of what I want the podcast to evolve. So the idea for the Gracious Two is to be the Howard Stern show mixed with the JRE, so the Joe Rogan Experience. So the craziness and wackiness of the Howard Stern show.
Howard Stern 2000-ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate what he's become, and like his political crabbiness and all that stuff, and like him like wanting to take away free speech, even though
He's not a rebel anymore either.
right. And he's eating the sauce and biting, eating from the hand or whatever, but that he fought for so long. But as far as comedy chops, he might be the funniest person out there, and his interviewing skills are amazing. The stuff he gets out of people, like forget all the sexual stuff he gets out, but he's like now like a psychotherapist in an interview. Like he's getting into, he'll ask somebody a question and be like, Well, now, how did that make you feel? Like, is that something that like, your mother did to you? And like, he starts getting into childhood traumas and like really like navigating it like a psychoanalyst would,
Yeah.
and really getting the guests to open up and feel comfortable enough to talk about, you know, being raped or, getting in trouble with the law or like things that you wouldn't talk about on a show that millions of people are listening to. And he gets them to open up and talk about it like it's, like they're talking privately.
Yeah.
And that's a skill in itself. But his comedy is I think the funniest.
Yeah.
I've had to pull over my car driving because I'm laughing so hard I can't see the road.
I
And
loved the lady that used to call him. This was way back in the 2000s. The lady that used to call in and say that she was the real Steven Seagal's wife, and the Steven Seagal in the movies was not the real Steven Seagal.
oh my God, I don't know how I don't know that, but so she was just a regular caller.
Yeah, she would call in all the time and tell him about all the operatives that the real Steven Seagal was doing, and how she could go into grocery stores and hear the plants screaming. It was awesome.
See, now here's how I think deep Howard Stern gets. Like, so that right there, I don't know if that is something that happened or if he had planned, because he actually plans a lot of these moments that seem spontaneous.
Yeah,
Like, so it's not totally scripted, but they have an idea where they're going. This
right,
person's going to call, he's going to have this scenario, and we're going to play it like this. And he does a lot of stuff like that. Like, a lot of the phony phone calls and stuff that you think are real are, acted out and played out. And it's like he puts it on like it's a real phony phone call.
right,
It's all theater of the mind. And I think that that's where, when you could play with that line where, some of it's acting, some of it's real, and it all kind of blends together, that's like the best form of entertainment, to where it's so good because it was thought of beforehand, but it's also so good because you're doing it live and it's not fully scripted type of
right.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So
what reality shows should be, where you can go off script and do goofy shit and still have fun with it, with keeping it in the context of what you were going for. So,
100.
yeah.
Yeah, so when I would have no problem doing and I don't think Chad would either, doing the Greatest too, like, a couple times more per week, but it's just, it takes time with all the back end stuff.
Mhm.
And once it's monetized, and I always say Chad's time is valuable. I always feel like that. And
Yeah.
I always thank him a lot for doing the show. It's so funny how the show worked out. He came on my other podcast twice. And the second time we did it in person, and just ended up like hitting it off, hanging out afterwards. And I was wanting to, that show was like a serious interview show. So it wasn't free flowing where I could have a good time. Like, I was actually like, I would interview people for like 2 hours and really do like a deep dive into their lives, and whether it was actors, directors, authors, even like holistic weight coach, therapists. It wasn't just like celebrities or people in entertainment. It was like any walk of life where I didn't know the subject and kind of learn about it. And I liked it, but it was a serious show. And my idea for the podcast was like a comedy show
Mhm.
where you could still learn some stuff. But like, it was like the Howard Stern show mixed with the Jerry. That was my plan. So
Yeah.
as that show was going, it wasn't turning into that, and it kind of had an audience, but I wanted to move away into something more fun for me. And I had kicked around a couple other co-host ideas because I wanted to do a live show, and I wanted a co-host, which is like the Howard Stern portion. So Howard Stern, Robin. And then I wanted to have, guests on where we could do, whether it's a half-hour interview or a 2 hour interview, it could go either way because the show, it's however we want to do it. And that was like the mixed portion with the JRE, whereas the Stern Show kind of had bits and segments and, had stuck to a schedule. This show wouldn't. It would, be free flow and stuff like that. So it's all kind of, it's all still working itself out, and we don't push anything, we don't rush anything. But getting back to what I was originally saying is I had tried a couple different co-hosts before Chad, and put them out under the Good Times Universe like YouTube channel, just as separate shows, like just like trying out something. And I had like 2 or 3 hosts, and they weren't. It just wasn't. It was okay, but it wasn't what I wanted. And then after that second podcast with Chad, I was like, "Yeah, dude," I'm like, I've been thinking about starting a live show with a co-host, and just kind of ran him through, my idea. I was like, and I feel like we have some chemistry here. Like, would you want to do it? And he was like, "Yeah, man. Like, what do we got to do? Like, let's go." And that was it. The idea came, and then I was talking to people on the Fans of Live Facebook board, and we were kicking around names, and somebody said the not the Gracious Two, but they said like the Gracie Few or something like that. And like it was like a play on words with like Gracie's last name and the Gracious Few.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started mentioning it to Chad. He's like, "What about the Gracious Two?" So he led to the Gracious Two, and that's where the name came from. And yeah, so it's been that's kind of how that started and how that led. And the idea for the show, just to kind of give you guys like the vision of it and
Mm-hmm.
where we want to go, is eventually to get it to where the live show is like 2 or 3 times a week. So maybe Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And also once a month do a live podcast from different cities. So most likely comedy rooms, because I know that you could do live podcasts there and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and have an audience. And so the idea would be to you'd get like 10-20 minutes of me kind of warming up the crowd with some comedy. Then you'd get the live podcast. We would do the live podcast with hopefully a cool guest. With we probably with those shows we'd probably get somebody that the crowd might like, maybe some celebrities, actors, whatever, just somebody for the crowd to have some excitement for. And do the show, and then have a Q&A with the audience afterwards, where they could ask Chad and myself some questions, and the guest, if the guest wanted to participate, and if they want to do a meet and greet after the show. So could be like it could be anywhere from like 2 hours to 3 hours of a night.
That's cool.
Yeah, we think it'll be fun for us, fun for the audience, and get us face to face with people that are listening to us weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And a shout out to Chad as well, because if not for him, we wouldn't have met. So, like, he was so great with, I think it was like the next morning after we sent something out about him coming on, he's like, "I'll do yours if you do ours." I'm like, "What? All right." And it just went that quick. So, big thanks to Chad Gracie for doing that. He's been nothing but great for all of this, for having us on, being on ours. Like, I still don't think he realized how big of an influence he was for me because of the age I was at when I was listening to, yeah, like I was in my teens, like my formative years, and really like music's what I want to do for the rest of my life, and just playing his stuff, and just, yeah, big thanks to Chad for being who he is, I guess. So yeah.
Agreed. He's funny. Like, he doesn't realize like the impact of his music and all that stuff. Like, he's just a real humble guy.
Yeah.
And he's been like that. Like, the first time I met him was 1998 at the Stone Pony. And this was a year where Live barely toured. Like, they were putting out the Distance to Here the next year. And they maybe did like 10 shows in 1998, one of them being the Tibetan Freedom Concert. And then like the Chameleon Club, like some other, they did like small venues. And this was one they were doing at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park. And the guys all drove there separate. So like Ed drove up in like his like awesome caddy with his hot wife. And Chad pulled up in his Range Rover at the time. And like they were just like parking, like going in the venue. And I was a huge fan at the time. So I got there like mad early, waited online to be like one of the first to get in. And my parents, so 98, I guess I'm 16, something like that. Yeah. So like I got a ride there, and then my mother was a fan as well. So she was like meeting us there later, but me and my boy got seats to begin with. So when she gets there, she got there a couple hours early, and then Chad's pulling up, and I told my boy, I'm like, "Yo, wait here. Me and my mother are going to go say hi to Chad." and we ran up to him and bombarded him as he's getting out of the Range Rover, like, "Yo, Chad, what's up? You're awesome. Love your band." And he was so cool. Like, sat there, shook our hand, giving autographs and stuff like that, and was just real nice and appreciative of the fans. Where I met other people and they're like, "Fuck off, dude!" Like,
Yeah. Yeah. They have their handlers knocking you out of the way and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But him and Ed and Patrick were always cool. And I'm not talking bad about Chad Taylor because of anything that's gone
Yeah.
on.
I kind of know a little bit about it. So yeah.
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 He was just always like, better than, none of the other ones were like that. And there was times where he wasn't, because I've actually met them a bunch of times backstage and stuff like that. So I've had, before any of this, a bunch of interactions with him. And Chad Taylor wasn't always like that, but when he was, you're like, what a dick, dude. Like, why are you acting like that? Like, it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And yeah, I only say it because it's the truth. I'm not saying it to beat the guy, when he's down and stuff. I feel so horrible about the way, the relationships in the band have gone.
Yeah.
And I tell Chad all the time, like, fucking God damn, you guys are 4 childhood friends. And that was my thing growing up. I would tell everybody, like, my favorite band will be together forever because they fucking grew up and went to school together.
Right.
That was the crazy thing talking to him, was that like there was never a lineup change until recently, but yeah, never like high school and nothing. Usually like, yeah, well, our second or third guitarist was actually the one that ended up sticking with us. And it was the same 4 guys for the whole time, which
Yep.
is insane. Cause I mean, I can't even count how many musicians I went through when I was in high school and my teens and 20s and stuff. It was insane. So to have those same 4 people and then having like a album like Throwing Copper and you still stay together, that's crazy, because someone's going to get an ego when that comes out.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that thing was multi-platinum, and I mean it was on every radio station there was, because it would fit every format of radio stations except for maybe the classic stuff and the classic rock. Everything else it was on, like the hits and the rock stations and everywhere. So yeah, that's just it was crazy to hear that.
I mean, it was like Nirvana, Live, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Green Day. Like, those were the bands. Like, in those early 90s, of like, those were the top bands. And it's like, Live was certainly right up there with, Pearl. I feel like they were like bigger than Alice in Chains. You know what I'm saying? Like, their music was Rolling Stones 1995 Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
So Chad and I spoke about this a bunch of times, because I'm like, even though you guys sold so many records and you had a huge fan base, like, still some people would be like, "Oh, you like the band Live?" And they'd be like, "Oh, who are they?" And they're like, "Oh, Lightning Crashes?" No. But then once they heard the songs, they knew them.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Which I don't get. I don't get that.
This is what I'm getting. So I never got it either. I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck?" So they were actually real rock stars. And how Nirvana would always say, like, "Oh, we don't want to be in the limelight, we don't want to do interviews and stuff," but they did all the interviews.
Yeah.
Live actually didn't do the interviews, so they would say that, like, we don't want to be in the limelight. So they actually wouldn't do press that they were supposed to do, and they wouldn't do interviews that they were supposed to do, because they didn't like that. They liked making the music and playing for the fans, and that's what they wanted to do. So because of not playing that press game and doing what, the rock star thing, like, we don't want to be talking to these journalists, like, it ended up hurting them in the long run. And they said they made a couple mistakes where if they could have done it differently, they would have been, bigger than Pearl Jam and all that jazz, because they're, dude, Throwing Copper, bro, is there a better album? I mean, start to finish.
I know. Yeah. It's insane.
Secret Samadhi's right there with it.
Yeah, that one's a good one too. Because I like when they got a little heavier too. But I mean, you put those side by side, and there's just back to back. There's not a lot of bands that can say we had back to back great albums, and they're one of the very few that actually did. So,
and then like, I don't know what it is, but The Distance to Here too. So
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like those 3 albums, I almost can't put what's the best one, like, because you pull off from This Is Here, Meltdown, sick song, Feel the Quiet River Rage, sick song. Like, there's just some ones in there that got no radio play, but were just like amazing songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like the sound of the I think the songs are just as good as Throwing Copper and Secret Samadhi, but the sound of the album is a little different. Like there's just something about those the second and third album, Throwing Copper and Samadhi, that they just have like this raw sound to it. Whereas the Distance Here, I think, sounded a little polished or a little overproduced. Maybe that I think a little overproduced.
Yeah. Yeah, because yes, Thorn Copper and Secret Samadhi sounded like it was just they were all four in the studio. They just hit record and played.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's
that's
just it had that energy to it. Just I think that was the big thing was opposed to the third one or yeah
fourth one. But
the
that and
fourth
that
fourth fourth
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
fourth one.
it's like Pantera. They had three albums before Cowboys from Hell. But everyone says, well, Cowboys from Hell is their first album. No, it's their fourth album. But yeah, it's the one that got them big. So yeah, I get that with Live too. That was
yep.
Throwing Copper was technically their second album, but everyone thinks it's their first because it's the first big album they had. So
Yeah. And I just imagine being those dudes and, making, I mean, Mental Jewelry hits they're 17, 18 years old. And,
yeah,
and the way like they describe the story is like, they kind of didn't realize what the fuck had happened to them and how big Throwing Copper got because they were on, that the world tour. So they were just kind of seeing everything through a very limited lens.
hmm
And then Chad says they got back to like York in 95 for like the holidays, and like his cousins came over and like they were asking for his autograph, and he was like, oh shit, this is what
it's
happened.
this big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So like they didn't realize for a second. I'm like, wow, that's crazy, dude. And I always thought, I'm like, you did not take this ride as you should have, dude. I'm like, you had two marriages in this. You should have had zero. You should be getting married now. You should have been fucking this entire time and then getting married now.
Yep, yep,
Uh,
yeah.
and you should have been your ego should have been way bigger. And but like I just fuck with him. I'm like, these are the things that we're gonna do for the gracious too. So now
Yeah.
you're gonna bang all your groupies for the gracious too.
Now
You're
that you
gonna
got the marriages out of the way, now and you're
yes,
doing it backwards, but all right, fine. We'll get the marriages out of the way first, and then we'll whore it out. But yeah,
yes,
that was the thing when we had him on again. Is just that early on, like before we have anyone on, we're like, is there anything you want to talk about, or is everything good? He's like, I'm an open book. I'm like, oh shit, all that shit with live going on right now. Okay, I
yeah,
mean, we're not that kind of podcast we don't want to do that, but it's like in case something comes up, we are talking about live. Maybe something will come up. Like we just want to make sure we don't need to like tread water, anything like that. He's like, no, I'm good. And then
yep.
after listening to you guys, I'm like, oh yeah, Chad's good. He doesn't give a shit about who he pisses off. So
Oh, well, that's the thing. Because there's some things like that that are will be coming out relatively soon. That puts a lot of kibosh on some of the things that were said negatively about Chad, about Bill. Like there'll be evidence coming out relatively shortly, like that definitely proves like a lot of that.
good.
And you know, neither one they're like like yeah it's coming out but we don't need to publicize it. People find out about it, they find out about it. Like they don't really, they're not really interested in, like they'll talk about whatever because it's the truth, but they're not interested in like shoving a nail into the backs of people that harm them or ruin them. Like where me, I'm like, fuck that, dude. I'm like, let's scream this shit from the top of the mountains and say what a dick this person was for doing it. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I commend them because I'm like, I don't know. I would be every day saying like ripping them apart, and they've told me to hold back at times. So that's why I'm telling you this is because I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I want to fucking bury and let people know. And they're like, it will come out in due time. And I'm like, you're a better person than me, man. God bless.
Yeah. Because I watched the YouTube episode where you guys had Bill Hines on yours. It was like it was a pretty lengthy episode, but it was a lot of good stuff in it, and I didn't realize how close Bill was to all of it as well until I learned about him. And like he's fascinating. He cracks me up. He's sneaky funny. He could almost be a comedian.
Yep.
So he had some like just yeah he just yeah he's funny. I just Bill Hines, and again, thank you for because of you, we introduced ourselves to him too, and started watching his stuff and everything. But just the life he leads with the racing and all that, and just really cool. So
He's just a real person, dude. And
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, there's no filter on him either. So, like, that's how you know it's real. Like, he'll say shit. And I'm like, Bill, you're saying that? Like, we're with this
we
person.
can't say that.
Yeah. And that's why I like him, because he has no filter. He's going to
Yeah.
tell you like it is, and you know what he's feeling.
Mhm.
And that's some of the most, like, most beautiful behavior. Like, if you're pissed off at me, I want to know you're pissed off at me. I don't want you to pretend like we're friends.
Yeah,
And
let's hash this out.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And when you meet genuine people, they don't come across often. So when you do, you latch on and you enjoy them. So every time I hang with Bill, I have just a good time with him, and shit's gonna come out of his mouth. Like, we're eating with with Mama Gracie, Lena Gracie, Chad,
Yeah.
kids. And me and Bill are talking about, like, oh, look at this hot chick. I'm like, yo, Mama Gracie's right there. Bill, he's like, she don't care. So what? Well, so it's just like he's being himself. He's just, and he makes no excuses for it.
Yeah.
He happens to be a great father, a great dude. Like, he'd give you the shirt off his back, but sometimes the words that come out of his mouth are a little rough.
Yeah.
He's misunderstood is what I think.
I find myself to be very similar to that. I'm very like, hey, I'm also the guy you want in your foxhole, but there's gonna be some shit that comes out of my mouth that I mean to say, but you might not take it the way I meant it to come out either. And I'm
Yes.
very similar to that. So maybe that's why I kind of gravitate towards that kind of person, like with you and Chad as well, with just you guys just tell it how it is. Like there's no reason to sugarcoat anything because it's not going to make it taste better no matter which
Right.
way we give it to you. Might as well give it to you straight. So
That's so funny you said that, dude. That's something my mother used to say to me as a kid that drove me insane. She used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I used to be like, no, it's what I'm saying. It's not how I'm saying it. How I'm saying it is coming out because I'm excited, I'm animated, but the words that I'm saying are actually what I mean.
yeah,
This if I'm saying something loud or whatever, it's just coming out loud because that's how I'm talking. The words are actually what mean. The tone means
Yeah.
nothing. It's just how it's coming out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so she said to me all the time, and I'd be like, no, that's really not it. I'm just talking too excited, so my voice is loud. You think I'm yelling? I'm not.
Well, and I mean, it's the Italian thing anyway. We just yell, That's just the way it goes. I mean, anyone that's been to a Christmas or Thanksgiving with Italians, it's like we're not fighting. We're really not. This is how we talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first time she ever met my family, she's like, I don't ever want to do that again. I'm like, that was tame. That was a pretty nice little, get together right there. You haven't been to the good ones yet.
But those are the best, where you don't have to be fake. There's so many times where you meet people, you got to do that whole first impressions thing and put on a fake thing.
Hey, everyone, just be on your best behavior, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never got that rule, so I'm always like me right off the bat, joking. And sometimes, a lot of times, people meet me and they're like, "What a dick! Like, why an asshole?" And then they realize, oh, he's goofing and he's trying to make things light, and then we become like besties. But a lot of times, people meet me and they think like the complete opposite of how I am, because like I'm being a little loud and I'm being like saying funny things, and it's all just to get the laugh. I don't have a bad bone in my body.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I always have good intentions. It just sometimes doesn't come out like it's good intentions.
Right. The pop. Like,
Jesus.
what's going on here?
She's 8 months old now, and she's going through her little brat stage.
8 months, my
8
God.
months.
Yeah,
Is she gonna get bigger?
Yeah.
probably. We think
Wow.
she's part Mastiff, so hi.
And pit, for sure, right?
Yeah. Oh no! Don't get on the table.
I love it, man. Dogs, four-legged friends are the best.
Yeah. So what when you're not like creating stuff and all that, what do you do to wind down just to relax or anything?
Well, I don't. So maybe your audience find this cool, and I don't know if they know this. I don't know if you guys know this, but I just started to do a little bit of acting, and I was in Happy Gilmore 2. That's coming out.
Yeah.
Yes. And Sex in the City's season 3 show, it's called, and Just Like That.
Oh, cool.
It's only background work, extra, no speaking lines or stuff, but uh, Happy Gilmore, I'm all over it. I was on the set like six shooting days, I believe. So I'm in a bunch of different scenes. Um, and Sex in the City, I'm in like one of the episodes of this upcoming season. But dude, to be like this close to Adam Sandler or Sarah Jessica Parker, I'm like, I have no business being here. What the fuck is going on? And it was just so surreal. I'm like, how the fuck is this? But anyway, the way it happened is Happy Gilmore was doing a open casting call in Morristown, New Jersey, for the movie, and my friend had saw the article in the paper. We went there, ended up getting there late, and they, like they had stopped the line, so we weren't able to be seen. But the casting director gave me a link to go to where I had to send in a picture and video and kind of audition that way for him. And it's Grant Wiley Casting Agency, and they ended up picking me for this Happy Gilmore thing, and then for the Sex and the City thing. So now I'm like in their casting agency role, and I got picked for it was called Husker at the time, but I think they changed the name of it. It's a Bruce Springsteen biopic with Jeremy Allen White. But they had a picture where I had long hair, so they wanted like people from the 80s that had long hair to be in one of these scenes. And I got picked, but I had short hair, and then I got taken out because of the short hair. But there just seems to be a lot of opportunity with this. And this is, I think, like 3 months ago they started. So it seems like, I don't know, kind of sky's the limit, and I'm hanging out and meeting people that I shouldn't be. So
That's cool.
wanted to let you guys know that. Yeah, it's cool. And this new Happy Gilmore 2 movie, dude, it's like an old school comedy. There's a
Good.
lot of people from the original come in. They did have me sign like an NDA. Not that I really know much about the plot because I was only there 6 days.
I think it's about golf, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Can't talk about that.
Oh shit. Yeah. Maybe it's about golf. Sorry. No, that and Spinal Tap 2 are like my most anticipated movies this year. So
Spinal Tap 2 is coming out this year.
yeah.
I didn't even. What was the original Spinal Tap movie? Is it from back in the day, or is it
So
something?
it's 40 years later. I guess they're playing on the band's broke. They have to do a reunion tour or something, or a reunion gig to get money, and I guess there's a bunch of cool cameos in it. Have you ever seen the original?
No, that's what I was saying. I didn't.
The
Oh.
boys exploded.
Yeah,
It was awesome. Gosh,
I'm surprised Chad hasn't had you watch that yet, because it's total musician movie. But you might get it with being a comedian too. With there's a part where they can't find the stage, they keep getting lost in the backstage, and they can't find the stage, and they
Yeah,
just
man.
keep going in circles. They get directions, and yeah, it's just
And all the songs are kind of like parody songs, like
Yeah.
Tenacious D.
yeah,
Oh, fuck on the original Tenacious D.
Yeah.
yeah. So I would definitely check it out. I'd
I
say
will.
if you and Chad get together, just watch it together, because he'll probably be able to be like, "Oh, that happened to me," or "happened to us one time on tour," or something. Get a little more behind the scenes. But
On Happy Gilmore, did you get to meet Becky Lynch? If you know who Becky Lynch is, she's a pro wrestler, red
No,
hair.
nope. I'll tell you who I did meet and didn't even realize that it was her and that she was in the first movie. She's in Modern Family.
Oh yeah.
Julie.
Julie.
oh, is she Veronica Vaughn?
No,
Or not
no,
Veronica?
no.
Vicky Valen?
No, the
The reporter.
no, she was the golf coordinator girl.
Yeah,
first
the
one, the
reporter,
blonde.
basically the coordinator or whatever. Julie Bowen. Bowen.
Oh, Bowen.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't. So she's in the original one,
Right.
and she's in Modern Family. So like, I didn't realize that was Julie. But like, I'm watching Modern Family for a bunch of times. I've seen the original Happy Gilmore a bunch of times. I never put two and two together. But then when I met her on set, I'm like, oh shit, that's the girl from Modern Family. I'm like,
Virginia
oh,
Bennett.
Yes.
I'm like, oh shit, that's the original girl from the original Happy Gilmore. And then I put two and two together. But yes, she's on it. See, these are things I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but fuck it. They could sue me. They're not going to get much. I got divorced.
They could
So-
sue us. Well, they'll take everything we get from having this podcast, which is nothing. So
There you go. the guy from the kid from Sixth Sense, Haley Joel Osment.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, uh, Ben Stiller was on this, so I don't know if he's reprising his role from the cameo from the original one with the mustache. Because he was on set, he was in regular clothes, and he was like taking pictures on the set, like, and then he was like talking to Adam in between stuff. So I think they're just friends, and he was there like taking pictures for like I don't know keepsakes or something because he wasn't
Seriously.
acting, and he was just kind of like checking out like the dailies and stuff like that. I don't know if he's in it in scenes that I didn't see or whatever, but he was there. Uh,
I just
Carl,
always you could trouble me for a nice warm glass of shut the hell up.
you will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep. The kid Carl from Shameless is in it, which was cool. Like it's just people where I'm like, and you're supposed to, if you're like, so I was non-SAG is, there's union roles
Yeah.
on there. Then I was doing a non-union part, and if you're doing the non-union part, you're not supposed to like mix with the union people. So like we have like our places to eat and take breaks and stuff, and then they have like their places to eat, and like their food is usually better than our food. So the first day on set, like I go and I'm eating with the non-union people, and then I see people walking by like eating shrimp and mussels, and like I got like a fucking peanut butter sandwich. I'm like, whoa, where'd they get that? And then I find out that there's this non-union union thing. So the next time I'm
His
on set,
his craft services is actually craft cheese.
100%, dude, the knockoff brand craft cheese. So the second day, I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to eat with the union people. They ask me for my union card, then I'll leave the line. But so for the next like 5 or 6 times I was on the set, I just ate with the union people and got their good food. And in turn doing that, then I got to like see Carl and like talk to him and fucking, I didn't even know his name. I was like, dude, I know you from Shameless. So it was kind of like I should have fucking not been talking to him because, I was just excited, but like I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't even know your name, and I fucking think you're awesome, and blah 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 blah. He's like, it's cool, dude. I get it all the time. People are like, oh, Carl, white boy Carl, and all that shit. So he was just cool, down to earth,
Yeah.
and everybody I met, like all these big name people. It's like they're just real people. Like I haven't had a bad experience with them. They're all go above and beyond to be nice, and you know you grow up, not idolize, but you put people on a pedestal and think they're larger than life, and it comes down to it, they're really not.
Yeah.
They're just
Right.
normal people that breathe the same air as everybody else, and it's cool that they act that way because I've heard stories, nightmare stories of some
Oh
people
yeah.
like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, everybody's been real cool.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I mean Adam Sandler has to be cool because he won't even wear a suit to anything. He always wears like
Right. Sweats,
sweats and stuff. So it's like,
stained
he
t-shirts.
he never got too big for his britches, and stuff like that. And I get the calling the characters by their names on their TV show and all that because we recently talked to someone from the that works a lot with the Cobra Kai series and
Right.
stuff. And we kept calling them by the character names instead of their actor names and stuff. So it's just how you know them.
A
So
hundred
I
percent.
totally get that, and I know they understand that too. They're like, no, 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 okay, my real name's this, but yeah, that's I love playing that character, stuff like that. So yeah,
I think they do now, but I remember back in the day, people would get pissed. Like Dustin Diamond from Saved by the Bell, like people would call him Screech all the time, and like he hated. Like back in the day, they used to hate when people called them character by their character names, but now, like they've come around, and I think appreciative. Like so, getting back to Pippi Longstocking, like I don't know this for sure, but maybe at one point she hated people call, oh, it's Pippi, Pippi, Pippi. She was known
yeah,
as Pippi, but she's like, I'm Tammy. Now she's really embraced it, and she's going and doing like meet and greets as Pippi, and like appreciative of the people that really love that character and blah blah
yeah.
blah blah blah. But sometimes people like resent the fact that all they want me for is for the Pippi. Like I'm so much more than Pippi.
Well, I think the cons have helped too, where they like, oh, there's a lot of money to be had by just being having embracing a character that what? Why am I hating this when this could make people feel good about their day or make them a better person? Why am I hating this?
Yeah.
And also, there's money to be had here, so it's
So
both
true.
things. So embrace it, you know. And I know looking out from the outside, it's like, man, I'd love to have that one character that I could just rest my laurels on. But then again, it's like, you know, maybe I wouldn't. Like Ralph Macchio for 30 years hated the Daniel LaRusso thing, and now he's like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I need to embrace it. And then now he's, you know, Emmy-winning TV show, and you know, loves playing the character. Now he's doing another movie about it. He loves it so much, and it's like eventually it gets so big that you can't get away from it.
Fred
So
Gwynn never wanted to talk about being Herman Munster. He hated that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that was the perfect example. Danny
which is
LaRusso.
funny. Ralph Macchio and they were in My Cousin Vinny, which
Yeah.
is one of the greatest movies of all time. So
Oh my God, is that the best? Joe Pesci is the funniest person playing a mean person. You know what I'm saying? Like in that movie, he kind of wasn't mean, but like his
yeah,
part in Goodfellas, Hendry, and fucking like
yeah,
he's like I don't know, his comedic timing is
yeah.
something best,
Especially
man.
Home Alone. Hearing this story with they had a swear jar on set
Yeah.
for him
Oh, that's right, dude. That's
because
something
he
you
had just done Goodfellas and he did that, and it's like you can't cuss on this, Joe. Like they had a swear jar, and him and Macaulay Culkin were really close, and I just loved hearing how good he was with the kids. But he was Tommy DeVito on that set, which is hilarious. So yeah.
Tommy DeVito.
Well, meaning the Goodfellas character on the set of Home Alone, like he was.
Oh,
That's just how he talks. You know,
right.
the New York f bombs here and f bombs there, and yeah, and
You
keep
guys should,
reminding you. So where he always did that when he was
Yeah.
going.
yeah. You guys should have on Larry Hankin. He was in that movie.
I'd love to. Yeah. I loved hearing. I listened to that where talk about the donuts. How many? You know what? Like 3 dozen donuts to get that part, and that's all anyone asks him is, "How did you get the donut to land on the phone like that?" He's like, "I did. It just happened."
And it's iconic scene now. And I didn't know that he was supposed to be Daniel Stern's character
Yeah.
originally.
And they
And
brought him back to, yeah, I learned all that on your show. So thanks for that. Because
yeah,
I had no idea. That would have been a great fit too. So,
same. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't think we were gonna, I figured because I had talked to Larry once before, I didn't think anything like that would come out because I'd never heard that story in anything he did.
Yeah.
So for that to come out, I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll reach out to him. He's a cool ass dude. He's like he's done with Hollywood. He doesn't want to be acting anymore. He wants to like write books and do art and stuff like that. But he loves coming on podcasts. So I'll definitely
Oh, very good.
reach out to him and let
I
him know
mean, he
you
was in Billy Madison, was one of our favorites. So,
Carl.
God, hey,
Carl.
do that impression.
Oh my God, yes. And then he was
And he was
Mr.
a taxi driver on Planes,
Taxiola.
Trains. Yeah, Taxiola and Planes, Trains, and yeah,
Everything he was in, he added to. That was the one
yeah,
thing I said to him, and I was being serious with him. And he again is somebody who's very humble. Like he doesn't have like self-esteem like that. But I said, dude, everything you are in, you elevate. Like even
yeah,
the show Friends, your character on there was one of the best characters. Mr. Heckles, like I used to look forward to it. And he was in like 4 episodes.
yeah.
It's just he's like that, like one of those dudes. His comedic timing is on point, and he gets into like he got real honest with his dyslexia and how like he couldn't remember lines, and I just found that it was a real honest talk, and I love when people like open up like that, like something like that. Like I feel like I have no business talking to this dude, and like he's just being so cool and genuine, and he's reached out like since then because that was either the second or the third time we had spoke, and he's like real genuine. He reaches out and again, how's the show going? You want me to
That's
come back?
awesome.
He's so cool, dude.
That's
So,
cool. That's what I love because we've had those moments too on ours, and it's like we should not be on the same thing with this person, and but they're super cool. Like, how is this possible? And then you're just like, you know what? Because they're a human and we're having fun talking to each other.
yes, and then it even gets to be like maybe even more genuine that like they might have been saying like fuck I gotta go on Jay Leno and be fake, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
they're almost like performing and being like a because there's like pre-interviews for those shows and
Oh,
it's like
there's scripts on a lot of
yeah,
those shows. Yeah.
yeah, So a lot of people might enjoy coming on shows like this where they don't have to pretend or be somebody they're not,
Yeah,
or
there's no agenda. Just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I could totally see that if like you're constantly in the spotlight and blah blah blah. Like I always, as a kid, like I was always thinking like, I wanna act, I wanna get some fame, stuff like that. Like I said, be the entertainer, stuff like that. But then I grew up and I'm like, holy shit, like you don't realize all the stuff that comes with the fame, like the entertaining people and stuff at school, but like when you can't go run to fucking 7-Eleven to run in and grab a milk real quick because people want to stop and talk to you, like that could get very overwhelming real
Yeah.
quick. So you don't look at like, and it's great that people adore you and want to talk and all that stuff, but when you can't do shit for like it could get crazy.
And then
So
you come off, you're just trying to get out of there, and then everyone's like, "Oh, he was such a dick." It's like, no, I needed to get home. I had something going on. I had people waiting on me. I needed to get home, and I've got 30 people asking for my autograph and pictures. It's like, now the guy's a dick. He
right,
wouldn't give us like, yeah, that's a lot.
it is.
Yeah.
And you don't think like you only look at and think of the like it's all glitz and glam and fun and like oh it's got to be great. So what? You got to sign 30 autographs but it gets overwhelming and
Yeah.
that's what I was saying just even like the briefness just trying to keep up with DMs for people that know me from the show is like that gets overwhelming. So I
Yeah.
could only imagine what somebody who fucking, like a Ben Affleck goes through trying to fucking just go buy his kid like an ice pop or something,
Yeah.
you know?
So with all the upside of the podcast, do you get any of the downsides? Like we've not to bash anybody, but we've had a guest before that we asked questions and they were one word answers. And so 12 minutes into it, we asked every question that we had. Have you run into that?
Uh, yeah. So I'm like usually like so if a guest is like not like talking or something, I just for some reason can't shut up. So it's like somehow it ends up working out. The guest starts talking because I'll just fucking gab it up to like no end. So that's where I was saying like the unpreparedness of our show makes it to where it's like it could go anywhere. So even if all the ideas I had in my head were asked like to the guest, it really doesn't matter because like I could be like, so how was your time when you fucking went to first grade or so, like just bring up something
Yeah.
else that really has nothing to do with the show, which is the beauty of the tagline being putting the shit in bullshit because it could just go anywhere. Like the show, it, it, it's we're gonna make it a lot more like a lot more fun for the everybody, for the audience, for us. I want to play sound effects. I want to play. Um, I want to do like some bits on the show to where like maybe I'll do some street interviews with people and then we play it on here and it's like a funny scenario or maybe stuff that we pre-film like little skits that we could add in like I want to make it like a full show, not just a podcast, not just something you listen to, not just something that you watch, but like a full encompassed show that you could get laughs, cries, learn something, be entertained and just have fun and maybe either forget about the world's problems for a little bit or concentrate them on it in a way you haven't for a little bit. Just like I don't know, make people think and kind of entertain and have fun, really. But
You
just
yeah. Do you
yeah, go.
follow Dice on Instagram?
Yeah.
The shit he does on the street. Hey, you want a picture?
Oh my god, dude, that's a real comedian. Like,
Yes. No one knows who the hell he is. He's just taking pictures of people and shit.
and how do they know? Like, that's my I was with the Impractical Jokers. I'm like, how are they
Yeah.
getting away with being the Impractical Jokers? Like, I feel like everybody should know them at this point.
Same. Yeah, it's same with like Jackass too. It's like how 2 seasons in, how do people not know that like this is a bit? Like are people
Yeah.
that out of tune with stuff? But then
Yeah,
again, like nowadays, there's probably stuff that people could bring up. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know who that is. So then it's like, you know what? I guess I do get it.
yeah. It's so true because you're so in your zone that you think that zone is everybody's zone.
Yeah.
So, but then when you learn something outside, you're like, oh shit, I never knew that. So it is possible for
Yeah.
people to not. But it's like crazy. It's like if you know something so well, like the Impractical Jokers, like I just had known them for so like many years, seeing them on TV. I'm like, how doesn't everybody know about this show?
Yeah.
Because it's one hysterical.
Oh,
Like
Q cracks me up.
Q, Joe, Sal, I mean, first,
Sal gets me because of how he like anything having to do with like licking something that's been on the
yeah,
ground or anything like that. It's like, all right, Sal's gonna vomit.
his OCD kicked in hardcore, and I completely get it.
Yeah.
But dude, that was literally that show was me and my boy. I'm gonna give him a shout out, Tom Piazza. As kids, we used to go to the mall, and we would like do things to make the other person laugh. So he would go up to somebody and pretend to be a slow adult and like have an interaction with the cashier as like a slow adult, and I'd be sitting there watching the whole thing and just like I'm in the background cracking up because this person thinks he's really slow and is like about to bring him to the bathroom. Like, so we would just do things like that, and we would always try to one up and dare each other to do stuff. And that's really what the show was. So once I saw that show, I was like, oh my God, me and my boy were doing that back in the day and
Yeah.
just never thought to film it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun, dude. And that's really what made me enjoy and want to be a comedian or an actor or performer of any type is was those situations, was like being with my friends and entertaining each other. Like it was just it was better than TV. It was better than anything. It was like this, I could do this all the time,
Yeah.
and this is great.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's busting balls. I mean, when we weren't jamming in my bands and stuff in high school, we were busting balls. We were getting into shenanigans. We were daring each other to do stupid shit. Like we were doing jackass shit before they were. We're doing rocket skates for Johnny Knoxville was,
oh
like
God. I think that I don't know. I think something's wrong with his balls from like getting kicked in them or something. Like I heard he's like got like a colostomy bag or some shit.
Yeah.
Really
He did for a while. Yeah, I think he's doesn't have it anymore, but for like about I think 1 or 2 years, yeah, he had to carry stuff around with him. I
Oh,
think it was from the last bull incident he had. So, yeah.
I thought once you got that bag, you had it forever, so you could go back. Okay, I didn't know that.
No, I could be wrong, but I think he said it was just temporary. So,
Thank God,
I
man.
mean, he's got kids too, which is crazy to think about. So,
Like God bless. Like
yeah.
I see that's
Oh,
I won't.
he's one of those I'd love to have on. I'd love to pick his brain on some of that shit. Like,
Yeah.
Are
just
there any people that you would like say are your heroes? Like I don't know if I would like to have Elton John on the show
oh, see, I would.
because like I don't
Did
know
you
if
watch that documentary recently? That one on Disney?
no.
Oh,
It's
watch
awesome.
it.
It's
It's
really good.
great.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Like, how is he? Is like I would feel like if he came in, I'd be like, oh, it's Sir Elton John, and I gotta act like this. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable being
He's
myself.
He's really
so
funny.
on that documentary, he has people come on his podcast. I guess he's got one of like underground musicians and talks to them, and he's just totally down to earth.
Really?
So that's when I was like, reach out to Elton John. And then there's a thing on his website where you can ask to cover one of his songs and get permission for it. I'm like, well, ask him if we can do that.
Fuck yeah. So,
So he seems pretty down to earth about it. So yeah.
well, that's what a bunch of people are like. Oh, why don't you get so and so on the podcast? And I'm like, I would love to, but
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, just reach out on social media. I'm like,
It's not
I don't
that easy.
well, yeah, some people like a lot of people have success. Like one of the guys that came on the show, Cashel O'Reilly, like he talks to so many people. I'm like, how? And he's persistent. Like he goes on. And that's it. I don't ever want to be bothering somebody.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. That's
So
the same way. I'll send one message and then if I don't hear back, I'm like, all right, it's just not going to happen. And there's been sometimes I'm like a month's gone by and I forgot about it. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'm like, oh shit, cool.
well, and see that's the thing. So you send one message, and if they don't respond, you don't follow up. And the deal is like, so I could have a bunch of messages in the Instagram box that I didn't even realize were requests from people, and then I'll go in months later and see them like, oh shit, and then I'll go back and respond to them. So if you're not persistent like some of these people are, maybe you're missing the mark here because people
Yeah.
might not see that first message, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it is that easy to
That's
not see
good to
one.
know. Yeah, that's good to know. So, yeah.
There was only one guest, and he's a celebrity chef that we really kind of
Oh.
kept on him and kept on him and kept on. He's like, "We'll try next month. Next month, are you ready? Try me in 5 days. Are you
But he told
ready?"
us to do that. He said, just stay on me about it,
Yeah,
because I'll just forget or I'll get sidetracked. And
Boom.
yeah, we did that. But yeah, I mean, like as far as any, like we haven't had a wrestler on. We're big into wrestling. We love WWE. I love to have like one of the WWE wrestlers on. So
Well, hell yes. So with that celebrity thing that I was doing the announcing for the trailer come up, they have a UFC. Miranda Maverick is in the celebrity football thing, and I know that UFC just merged with WWE, so
yeah,
maybe there's some connections there.
we love UFC
yeah.
too.
UFC is awesome.
Oh, I love it too. That's my favorite sport. That's really like the only sport that I watch
Okay.
nowadays. But yeah, so as this thing starts playing out and I start meeting with more people, I'll definitely, toss people your way since I know you
Sure.
guys will have
Yeah.
fun with them and
Yeah.
treat them with respect. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about networking, and that's the cool part about any of the podcasting, social media, comedy, acting, any of it. It's just the networking and meeting
Yeah.
people and creative ideas. I'm just all about using the creative side of my brain nowadays and enjoying life at getting back to just enjoying life, not taking everything so serious, not being so focused on a 9 to 5 and doing like actually focusing on things that make me feel good and then in turn make me a better person so I could be better to people around me.
Yeah. And I mean, we learned recently too with the guests we had on that like there's podcasts that like fight with each other because they
Yeah,
have similar things going on. Like this, I always looked at it as a community thing. Like, hey, we had this guest on, and like you listen to it. And I've reached out to people like other podcasts, and like they'll ask like, well, what do your numbers look like and stuff. I'm like, who cares? Like, let's just have a
Right.
conversation. Like, we're just trying to learn more about your like what you got you started and how you like. I'm like, all right, forget you then. Like, come on, this should be a community thing. Like, everyone should get along with each other. Like, if someone's doing the same thing we're doing, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, hey, you want to come on ours and talk about like what got you into doing this?
right.
And like, I don't care as long as you're not like stealing the name. I don't care if you're doing a similar thing to it. So
It all goes back to kind of what we were talking about in the beginning. Like people have that faster female kind of brain thought, like somebody who's coming on their show. Let's just say a podcaster that has 5,000 listens a week, which is pretty good for a
sure,
podcast. Like, you're
yeah,
probably in the top 10% of podcasts or something like that.
yeah,
Like somebody like that you're coming and they're asking you, oh, so what numbers do you do and stuff like that. That is the exact wrong person that I don't want to be talking
yep,
to. Like,
yep, yep, yep,
you're in this for a different reason than I'm in,
yeah.
and if you're in it just for those numbers, then I really have no point in talking to you.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care to know anything more about you. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And it's like you see some people like that succeed, so and then you start to wonder, do you have to be cutthroat like that to be? And if so, if that's the case, then I won't belong in that business and I won't do it because I'm not going to, even though I like it and would love to be a part of it, I'm not going to change me
Yeah,
to do it and
yep,
fuck over other people to do it because that's not in me to do. Like,
same.
yeah, I
Yep.
could do it in that moment, but I'll hate myself fucking 2 minutes later and I'll be, why did you do that, motherfucker? But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as I'll hit send, I'm like, why did I do that? And now I can't undo it. Like it's there now. Yeah, I I couldn't do that. So, and that was the thing. Like again, it was the Cobra Kai guy. He has a great podcast that he does. He's had like all of the actors in it for the most part. And he was like, yeah, man. It's like there's other ones out there that like they're mad about like this that I'm doing and everything else. But he was totally cool with us because the first thing he said was like, I would love to come on there. I just want you to know I'm not associated with the show. I'm like, we know that. We just love what you're
Yeah,
doing. We want to have you on, find out why you started doing this and what got you into it, because we're into it as well, and we would love to talk about it. It was as simple as that. Doesn't
yep,
have to be anything more than that.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we've had some bad experiences with just reaching out to people. I'm like, well, okay, that's how you are. That's fine. That's you. That's not us. So, good
Yeah.
luck to you, but we'd rather talk to people that are like-minded and that want to do this and are doing it for the right reasons, that at least what we think are the right reasons, that talk to people, build a community, learn about people, learn about things, like I love just tonight talking to you about the comedy thing. You're like, yeah, but with what you do, you could screw up everybody's performance. I'm just screwing up mine. I'm like, I never even looked at it that way. I looked at it as
Right.
like, you're on your own, man. Like,
Yeah.
so that was just a great perspective. So I already learned something from this one. So yeah,
Rock the fuck on.
yeah,
Yeah, all about perspective, man. Glass full, glass half empty. It's
yeah,
so funny, cliche things that we all learn as kids, and you're like, whatever, that means nothing. And then as you grow up, you're like, oh shit, they were fucking right with that.
yeah,
Like it's all how you look at things. Like and it's a lot easier said than done, but when you allow yourself to get angry and then you act off that anger, your internals feels like shit
yeah,
because you're angry and you're letting it all boil up. If you find a way to zen that out and breathe through it and don't let yourself explode, your internal feels good. You don't feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
on edge and stuff like that. So it's like, I know it's easier said than done. Oh, don't get pissed off because you're just,
yeah,
ruining it for yourself. It's easier said than done. But if you start to get in that frame of thought, it like
yeah,
you could really make big changes. And, positivity breeds positivity. It might not happen immediately,
mhm.
but you start thinking positive thoughts, surrounding yourself with good people, it all leads to good things.
Oh yeah, because my now like early on, I was like, oh that sucks, but now I'm just like, oh okay, that's how you're gonna be. All right, and I'll just laugh it off now, like big deal, because I know that the next person I reach out to is gonna say yes, and we're gonna have a better conversation with them anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's always how it's worked out since we've had guests on. Like, just the next one's just like, that one wouldn't have even been this much fun. This was much more fun than that one would have been. I know it. So,
So do you guys believe in like destiny, or do you believe in like everything's predetermined, or do you think like it, it's all like they say God's will be done? Like, do you believe his will be done, or you guys can make your own changes and blah blah
I
blah blah blah?
I think we can write our own scripts personally. I think that because there's that whole thing of like the person that sits around and waits for things to come to them never has things come to them. But the one that
Right.
goes out and is I don't want to use word persistent because we just got done talking about like I don't want to be that person either unless they say be persistent with me, which we've had a couple
Right.
people say that to us, which is great. But like if you go out and you just make things happen, like we didn't get our first guest until 17 episodes in. And it was just a podcast I was listening to at the time, which was really the reason we started this. And that's what I said to him in the emails, like, hey, like your podcast is the reason we started ours. We'd love to have you on as our first guest. And they came on, but it's like it's just one of those like if I didn't send them the email, they weren't gonna talk to me about coming on our podcast.
Right.
So that's the way I look at it is
Right.
I think there's some things that just do happen for a reason, but I think there's other things that you can control too. So
And that person that you said it to, like, your podcast is one of the reasons I started, thinking about having a podcast. Is this like some crazy big podcaster, or like,
um it was a Rush podcast, the
okay,
Rush the band. And when Neil died was the first big loss I had. Neil Peart. Never met the guy, but he's my biggest inspiration of all time.
yeah, sure,
Lyrically and just everything he went through as a person, his losing his wife and his kid in 6 months of each other, whatever, and how he persevered through that and everything. But when he died, he was so young. I'm like, that's my favorite band. They're never going to tour again. That was another thing that through my mind. I'm never going to see him play live again.
right,
Um, and so that hit me harder than the dog dying. And it was like, I found their podcast and they did a Neil tribute episode, and it just really stuck with me. So I went back and started listening to all their episodes before that, and yeah, and I was like, it was just two of them talking about Rush and just music and stuff like that. And I'm like, we could do this.
rock
And
on.
yeah, and that's just how it happened. And originally I was like, hey, we'd love to have both of you on if you can. He's like, so he's like, well, the other guy's busy, but he's like, I would love to come on if you'll have me. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it was just great. And we learned so much just from doing that one episode of moving forward with it, like paying for Zoom. We didn't know there's a 30-minute cutoff
Yeah,
if you don't pay for it. I'm like, 23 minutes in, I was like, you've got 7 minutes. And so as soon as I see that, like my brain's focused on like, I don't know how much time's gone by already. And I
Right.
panicked.
Yeah.
And
Start plugging.
yeah,
Yeah.
so after that, it's like, that's never happening again and everything else. But yeah, it's just one of those, just again, we reached out, got a good response. And first person we reached out to said yes. And that was great. So
And I think it was your honesty too, because I was just like, think about being on the other side of that. If you hear that as a person, like, oh, you're the reason I got into this, like that, it's got to feel fucking great, and
yeah,
probably part of the reason why he's doing this to
yeah,
inspire people. So the
exactly.
fact that you were able to be honest with him and get him on as a guest, like that's the beauty of this whole thing is like it's taking it out of the hands of whoever was appointed to these interview positions or whatever, and it's put it into people that actually like the people that I have on this podcast are people that I want to have on the podcast, not somebody I have to interview. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like it's people that I care about what they're doing
Mhm.
or whatever is going on. It's not like I'm somebody I'm having on to fucking promote a book or something and it's just I have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
we
like
get this person on, man. Think of all the people that are going to listen to it. I don't think of it that way. That'd be
right,
great if that happens, if we get 10,000 more listeners or something because of it. Great. But I'm
right.
doing it because I give a shit. I want to talk to this person because I give a shit about what they're doing because what they're doing is inspiring what I'm doing.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's it, man. That's what makes these more genuine and people connect to because you see Barbara Walters talking to fucking Michael Jackson about his upcoming album. She don't care about him and he don't care about her, and you could tell as they're talking. It's all surface talk and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
There's nothing real about it. But this, you get real moments, and you get to see people not acting or putting on something. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe you put on a little something so you're not just like monotone and boring talking. You maybe put a little inflection, but you're being yourself. You
That
know.
was a very Joe Rogan moment for you right there because he does that sometimes.
What
He gets right on the mic and just talks real monotone.
Well, I love the guy, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking story that dude is. Like to
No
be
shit. And I
great.
love like do you know who Theo Vaughn is?
I fucking love.
Yes.
He's one of my new favorite comedians.
Yes.
So we were watching a lot of like Trump interviews because he was on Joe Rogan and then he was on Theo Vaughn's and I'm like, okay. I turned to her and I said, this is gonna get goofy.
Just bear with
Bear with
it.
it. And then she's like, I want to watch everything this guy's ever done. So we just started watching Theo Von stuff. I'm like, he's hilarious because he's like, yeah, my cousin bought a boat and stuff like just the little quips he gets in there. It's just fucking hilarious.
He's
When he
like,
was talking with Donald Trump, he said, "Yeah, it's just like hookers and skateboards." Like, I can't believe he just said that.
he's himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
genuine.
like
Yeah,
there, and he's got like everything. He's laughing at everything. He's looking at the light side of everything. So like,
Yeah.
it just somebody like he's just a little. He's giddy, and he makes the conversation giddy.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about stuff, and he just starts laughing, and like it's genuine, and it's so attractive to see that. Like it makes you want to laugh and have a good time. Like that is somebody that I would meet and want to be besties with
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Dude, let me buy you a drink. Let's go hang out for a few minutes. You know, that
Yeah,
that
dude.
kind of thing. Yeah. Did you
Like
watch the Tommy Lee one that he had on his?
um, I saw clips. I didn't see the full thing.
It's pretty good. It's funny. There's the shit he gets because Tommy Lee doesn't have a filter either. So it's like,
Right.
oh, it was just no holds barred on that one. Just
Right.
nonstop, just nonsensical, doing drugs and sleeping with women. It was just nonstop hilarity. Like, yeah.
And he's and because so does he have like because I've heard episodes where he's like, I got 8 months sober, I got 2 years sober. Has he lost time in between, or am I just seeing these out of order? Do
No, I
you
think I think he relapses from time to time, is what I've
because
kind of
he did
gathered
tell
from it.
that to Donald Trump.
Yeah, yeah, he told that to Donald Trump, and
uh
man, Donald Trump on that was just great with him. He's like,
He
well, hey,
did.
that's a big deal, and that's something I want to take care of is the mental health and the drugs that even just the over the counter stuff that people can get. We need to take care of that in this country. And I was like, holy shit, like he's being funny, but he's getting real answers from these people too, which is great. What a
yeah,
great contrast.
hundred
It's
percent.
light, but we're still making progress with it, like,
Yep.
hey, that's how things can go. Imagine that. So
Right. Yeah, dude, that's the key. I'm so happy you brought him up. He's somebody that I'm like learning from because uh he's like a little kid
Yeah.
in the podcast, and I like that. He's not afraid to be goofy, and
Yeah,
I think that's key.
he's ADD too, or ADHD as well, and which
Yeah,
is great because he'll just be like one thing and then another, and it's all right. Hey, that works. I know where you're going with it, but I think you have to be of that mindset to kind of follow along too, which I am as well.
and he's got a mullet, bro. Who in their right mind wears a mullet? And he's
I,
serious with it. Like he's not goofing with that.
I think he looks like one of the Lost Swayze brothers.
Yo, you're right. Patrick Swayze from
And Don, right? Is it
Don Swayze.
Don
He
Slays?
really looks like Don Swayze.
or the not the one where he's it's the bar movie Roadhouse.
Oh,
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
He's got like that longer
Yeah,
Roadhouse. That
yeah.
what a great movie, man. Patrick Swayze was the fucking man. The new
Yes.
Roadhouse, you guys watch that?
Which one? The
The
new Roadhouse?
yeah, with Conor McGregor and
It's
Jake Gyllenhaal.
actually pretty
It
good.
was better than I thought it was going to be. Now, I will not watch the remake of Point Break, but yes, I will watch. And I think we talked about that when we were actually on yours a little bit with Swayze. I don't know how Swayze keeps getting brought up, but hey, why not? Swayze's awesome. Crazy for Swayze, man.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go watch Dirty Dancing after we get off this.
Nice.
My favorite. I'm not joking. The soundtrack to that, like,
Oh,
at-
oh, this did you hear the story? Did you watch the things on Netflix about the movies that made us or whatever? They did one on that and about how they asked him, like, hey, do you know anyone that does any music or that would want to do music for the soundtrack? He's like, I have a song. And what a great fucking song, man. She's
He's like
like
the
the
wind.
wind.
oh, that's right. That
Yeah.
was Swayze, man.
Yeah, that was they approached him asking if he knew anyone that would want to do this, like some of the music for the soundtrack. He's like, I got a song. He's like, as long as you let me sing it, I'll let you have it.
Go,
What a
Patrick.
great song, man. Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to let everybody knew I liked that movie as a kid either. You know, because some people would be like, "Oh, it's gay." I'm like, "No way, dude! This is a fucking bomb ass movie."
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Nobody put baby in the corner.
Right?
No. That's yeah. I love it.
So, is there anything going forward that you haven't done that you want to do?
Um, porn. No, I would never do porn. Uh, actually, I shouldn't say never, right? Because I've made a couple tapes with girlfriends and stuff growing up, but they were just to be seen by us. They weren't to be seen by other people.
Well,
But
that's what happened with Pam and Tommy, and it still got out. So there's still a chance. So
I was just gonna say because I am no longer in possession of these tapes, so you never
boy.
know. You might have a John tape. Not that anybody will watch it, but there might be one.
well, if Gracie sees that, he's gonna let everybody know it's out there. So
Oh, for sure. He'll have it as one of our stories on one of the social media pages.
hey, guess what I watched this weekend? Next
Um,
Tuesday, yeah.
As far as professional stuff, no, I'm as of now I'm diving into everything that I wanted to for a long time. Um I've owned a business before. I've worked in IT. I've worked for people. So this is the one thing that I've always wanted to try and do the entertainment side, creative side. So I'm doing that now. But yeah, as far as things in life that I haven't done, like I want to go visit a bunch of other countries, travel, stuff like that. Uh, I want to try one of those squirrel suits where you fucking jump off of a mountain and you fucking float down. Um, Stuff like that.
He won't
Uh,
let me go skydiving, so yeah.
why? I mean, it's one of the safest things I believe to do.
Yeah. Well,
No,
the reason I
okay.
won't do it is because I don't want to tandem. I'm not dying tandem, but
Okay,
Right,
where-
yeah.
So I work at a county shelter, animal shelter, and we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere here in Arizona. And about 5 miles down the road, there's Skydive Arizona. And when I first started that job 10 years ago, the month that I started, there was like 5 deaths there.
Oh, shit.
And the worst thing is, I was like, oh man, I was at work and I missed it because I could have just stood outside my door and went, wow, Benji's gonna die.
he's going pretty quick.
After like the third one at that school, I would be checking like the people packing their packs and be like, is there a sinister person floating around this area? Because
Someone with scissors just
Yeah.
yeah,
Early in the morning, I could see the plane go up and I could see people start to drop. And now I stop and I just watch. Is it going to
now
happen?
you
Is it going to
pull
happen?
out, pull out the video camera because you never
Yeah.
know. You
And I'm
might
like,
catch.
yeah, that could be our
it
ticket
didn't
right
happen.
there.
Well, it's like you always hear the where they hit the brakes, but you never hear the
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
I'm always like, why do I never get to hear the? Not that you want it, like you want to see it. You don't want anybody to be hurt or anything, but
Yeah.
you want to see the stuff happen.
But
Uh,
everyone wants to see the train wreck. They just won't admit it all the time. So
right,
yeah.
100%. You don't want to know the people that got hurt in it, but you want to see it happen for
Yeah, if
sure.
it's gonna happen, you want to see it. So yeah.
Um, I don't ever want to be in a relationship again, so I've got that out of my system. I was married. I so I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. 100%. I will date here and there, but I'm very honest with women, let them know like this is never going anywhere. Friends for sure, friends with benefits for sure, but I am not looking for love. Um, I always wanted to be a father, and that's kind of that was one of our issues in our marriage. And since that didn't work out, it's probably not in the cards. But that's something I probably always wanted to do that I won't do. I've always wanted to be a father, but yeah, my wife, we couldn't have kids, and I'm not gonna go into another relationship again to have them. So
Yeah.
unless a stork drops one off on my door one day, I don't see that. So I just live vicariously with my nieces and nephews, and get to give them the best uncle in the world, and then send them home to their
I
parents.
say you get the
Yep.
fun
Yep.
parts. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
They're getting out of control. You're going back home. Yeah.
100. My sister, she's pregnant again. She's due in March, but her first son, Harrison, she made me the godfather, and I was not expecting that, and I was so honored to do it. And I honestly, I take it very, very serious because I'm a goofster, and most people who know me think that that's all I do is goof around, but I take it real serious. Anything that kid needs, I'll be there for. Always give him good advice. I'm not going to be the cool uncle and buy him alcohol and stuff. Like I'll be the uncle that shoots it straight and leads him in the right direction and gives them advice that you would want from somebody you'd look up to. Maybe it's not, what you want to hear, but it's the best thing to tell you.
Yeah.
So, but
Great.
yeah, it's cool. Um, and that's it. I'm just gonna enjoy this life. I'm gonna enjoy doing what I'm doing and fucking take this thing to the fullest.
Very cool. Well, you're doing a great job doing it.
Appreciate
And
it.
yeah, I mean, where can our listeners find you and everything you're doing? I know every Tuesday, you guys do them pretty much every Tuesday, right? The live.
Yeah. So every Tuesday, 1 p.m., you could catch us on Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and I think somewhere else. But everywhere we're at the Gracious 2. On Instagram, it's at the underscore gracious underscore 2. Somebody had the Gracious 2, I guess, when I was going to do it. And then yeah, so just look for us, Gracious 2. I Good Times Universe. I turned that into kind of a production company, and that's what I'm using to produce all the Gracious 2 stuff. So if you wanted to check out Good Times Universe, I've worked with a couple other shows and stuff there. And I kind of do that stuff, like help friends out and stuff. If they need advice, or if I have some equipment that they don't have. But I'm all about giving back to communities and stuff too. So if I have something somebody could use, or if I have some knowledge about anything in here, I'm always down to clown and give that out, because there's a lot that goes into this. And if you have somebody to kind of give you some shortcuts and some tips, it can save you a lot of time and money. So
And yeah, I'll put it on the notes too, because we'll put all your information there too. But I want to put that video of you and Bill Hines talking about like, hey, start with this, do this, because that helped us out. Just with like, oh, let's look into that, let's look into this too. So because we eventually want to get some video cameras in our studio, so
yeah,
that's like the next thing. So yeah,
talk to me, dude. I'll give you some good options that
okay,
won't break the bank.
okay,
Yeah, OBS Bot is the
okay,
company. So
cool, awesome.
But yeah,
Cool.
guys, thank you so much for having
Yeah.
me on. It
Yeah.
was fun.
Thank you.
Hey, and we can't wait to see you in Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
Look for me in there, and we're gonna
We
have you
will.
guys on the show again too. We're gonna, this is gonna go on for. Unfortunately,
Oh
we
yeah,
might.
there's still a bunch of stuff on here we didn't even get into, which
Yeah.
is great. So yeah, absolutely. So we're the
Dude, we've
same.
been on 2.5 hours. Like this
I
flew by.
know. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a bedtime, I'd stay on another couple hours with you. But
Same. Same. Yeah. Awesome.
yo,
Thank you, John.
seriously, Justin, Andrew, thank you so much. Drumming up conversation. A pleasure to come on. You guys are really awesome.
Thank you. So that was our amazing conversation with John Rotolo.
Yes.
Make sure you check him out. The Gracious Two, everything he's doing, with the stand-up comedy. Make sure you visit his website. Make sure especially if you're on the East Coast and Jersey and all that, he's always doing stuff out there. And we told him anytime he's out here,
Yeah, I hope he comes out here.
yeah, that'd be
at some
great. We'll
point.
go we'll go
That'd be
check that
awesome.
out. To me, it's still the scariest thing because you're by yourself. There's no, hey, I screwed up, but my guitarist, picked up the slack on it, or my singer figured it out, and we just did this part again, and no one noticed. No one's the
Well,
wiser.
remember
But
the guy on the Dan Patrick show? What's his name?
Fritzy,
Fritzy, and he just tanked.
yeah,
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 it was pretty brutal.
yeah. It's one of those that you can be funny at like the funniest person at a dining table or something, but
Right.
it's different being the funniest person in a room.
For
So,
sure. Yeah.
And yeah, that scares me. But he did bring up that good point about, well, yeah, but if you screw up, you're screwing up three other people's performance as well, not just your own. It's like, yeah, I get that. But I don't know, man. I'm very, my anxiety, I don't know how you do just on a stage with a spotlight and me and the microphone. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I guess if I have my material and I'm confident with it, maybe. Same thing as, playing drums. I'm confident in what I'm doing and I'm rehearsed. I know what my parts are. I know what to do. And I still get nervous as hell, but yeah. So that's
You
really
made
cool.
me almost fall out of my seat the other day with
What?
your Ernest Scared Fired.
I know. I'm glad you laughed. I thought it was great.
But I think that's a
Generational
generational
thing.
thing,
Yeah.
because we were out with friends and
They're
we were,
little, yeah.
we were making references to the Ernest Scared Stupid movie, which I love.
Yeah.
And it's a generational thing because I don't think any of the younger kids that I work with would know who Ernest was,
Yeah.
which is sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, this was a great conversation. Again, if you're watching this, check out the audio version. It does have our ads of the people that help support this show. And yeah, check out everything John Rotolo's doing, everything Chad Gracie's doing. We brought him up a lot in it too. I know he just got sick this past week, so we hope he's feeling better. Yeah.
And there's fires down there.
And I'm wondering if that's some of it too,
Oh, it
if
could
it's
be,
breathing,
yeah, could be.
just
Oh, the air has to be. It was already bad.
the
in
air was
LA
terrible.
County. Yeah. And then you add the fires on top of that.
Yeah.
And it's just like total decimation there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we thoughts are with him. Everything. Hope he's feeling better. I'm sure he's fine. He's tough. He's a drummer. We're tough. So, but yeah, he wasn't on the last week's episode of The Gracious Two.
Yeah.
So it was John Rotolo and Bobby.
He's
Bobby.
still there.
He is still there. I think it was a bit.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha,
it was a
gotcha.
bit. I love
Okay.
bits. Bits are great,
Yeah.
especially when a lot of people don't get it. And I watching a lot of wrestling. I think helped knowing when things are a bit, the kayfabe thing. But
Yeah. Love kayfabe.
kayfabe, yeah, love wrestling. But we have a guest later today, so we're getting this done early in the morning. Hence, that we're not drinking wine or whiskey. We're drinking coffee.
I mean, it's good, but
It's good. It's Starbucks, but it's good. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not used to doing this on video.
And I don't know how to pause and start and
Yeah.
stuff. So
So-
excuse us, folks. The paperwork's right here. So.
Are you having the music and everything on the video?
Oh no, I'm not. Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. That's right. Never mind. Sorry, folks. See this? I've had 2 sips of coffee, so bear with us. So this is the
Awesome.
whole thing about we're not airing this live, but we're still doing this live. So keep that in mind, folks. So thank you for listening to Drum Up Conversation. I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood.
This is Grenache. She's laying down again. Squeak, squeak.
No mercy.
No mercy.